most important people at that company. I mean, hell, the way I think about it, maybe you don't get a union at all and you just take the whole company away from the bosses, and that's called a co-op.
For the almighty dollar, everyone's a slave. Cause what's the point of doing shit if you ain't getting paid? Ay.
You know, you probably hear people constantly talking about this horrible thing called capitalism.
I have.
Yeah, you've heard that?
Yes.
You're like, what? How does capitalism affect me? I will tell you, it runs your entire fucking life. You've probably heard of socialism or communism. Communism. And they say they try to control your entire life. Your whole day is taken away from you. What control do you have over your day now?
Most people have to be chained to a desk for 40 hours a week and they're not allowed to leave.
When you wake up in the morning and you feel like shit and you have to wipe the sleep from your eyes and like look around and be like, why does this have to happen this early in the morning? That's a capitalism.
And it controls everything, like your healthcare, your education. It all comes down to making money, but some things just don't make money. Honestly, ask yourself, how afraid are you of getting an injury and how that could possibly fuck up your life?
Yeah, you're being stopped from skateboarding, breakdancing, doing anything fun, because if you get injured, you're fucked forever. You can't go to work.
And so then you have all these people that say, well, we can make a kinder capitalism, a more conscious capitalism. It isn't gonna fucking happen. We need anarchy, we need socialism, we need communism, we need anything but more capitalism.
But wait, Brett, when you go to the grocery store, you have almost unlimited choice. You can buy 100 different types of cereals.
All made from the same stuff with different graphics on the outside.
All corn. It's basically just a bunch of boxes of corn.
That's capitalism.
It actually treats about 1% of the population like humans, and the rest of us like tools for those superhumans. You don't have any money, your bank account's low? I know where the money is. Jeff Bezos has it, the Waltons have it.
And they took it from us, right?
They took it from us.
We're just getting our money back.
Yeah, your work made that money. You deserve that money. That's your money. The 1% has never decided to do the right thing. That's why we have to take power and just spread it out among the 100% of people that exist. Polite about it.
It's just not the polite way to have sex.
That's just really one way to have sex that's polite, and it's to say, ma'am, or sir, or non-binary person, would you like to enjoy some making love with me? And then if they answer yes, then you mount that person and you move back and forth politely, and then you kind of finish it up and you say, that was great, and then you never mention it again. That's the right way to have sex, okay?
And folks, and that's why we don't do any sort of sex advice or sex stuff on this show, because there's none to be given.
I am wise!
I want you to write the polite sex book, like the proper polite method.
I just said it.
I mean, I tell you what, even the jobs that paid me nothing, like when I was first learning them, it was like, all right, I can do this. You just need somebody to get the plates and make them go from here to here. I can be the master of that. I was really into that, and I can do that. But after a while, it's like, you guys treat me like shit, and I get the plates from here to here every fucking time, and you talk down to me and shit. What's going on?
Jesus,
you're counting my lunches. Like, you're looking at what I'm eating. You're like figuring out when I'm going out to smoke. Like, all of a sudden, you're in my shit. But all you said you wanted from me was the plates to go from here to here, and I'm getting the plates from here to here.
God, that was the most accurate representation of how I feel when I get a job. At first, I'm helpless. I'm a little baby. I'm sucking off the tea to the manager to tell me what I need to do. You know, I don't want to, my wings aren't fully formed yet. And then once I learn what I'm doing, I'm like, you know, y'all could treat me a lot better for this. I deserve a lot more for this.
Wow, this is some bullshit right here. Now that you kicked me out of the nest and I'm flying through the sky and trying to flap my wings here, I don't think you're giving me enough.
I don't like this.
You didn't set me up right.
Oh my God, have you heard the news? Kids are dying of kratom.
That's not true.
They're injecting it into their veins.
I don't think that's happening.
An ABC Action News exclusive. A mom says a popular herb killed her son.
The most recent death happened in early June. Kratom, also known as metrogenine, was one of 4 drugs blamed for his death.
This was like the devil's drug.
It really is just a green powder that makes people feel better.
Yeah, it's a leaf. It grows from the ground, you smash it up, you make a tea out of it, you throw it down the back of your throat, you eat some capsules, and you feel better, your mind's clear. And most people that use kratom don't have access to healthcare or prescriptions or any of that regular medicine stuff. They get it from local stores or online.
Let's do an example here. You're a young person. You don't understand how all this works. So let me explain this to you. When you get hurt in your older age, let's say you're 34, you work on a roof, you fall off and you crush your fucking heel, right? It's all shattered. The doctor 10, 15 years ago was like, that's fucked up. That really hurts. You're gonna need some opioids to kill that pain. And then the DEA says, no, you can't have those anymore. These doctors have to tighten up their prescriptions. And now you don't have any. You can't afford them. What do? You can take kratom. It has the same effects, it's less addictive, and it's more gross. So that even brings down the use. You're not gonna use it as much. Kratom kills the pain in your body. It also cures social anxiety.
The government's solution to stuff like this is always prohibition, which means putting more people in jail.
How big is your appetite for the war on drugs? I'm sure it's small. It's shrinking every single day. Don't let them continue it. Don't let them outlaw more stuff.
Good point.
Thank you.
Before we commence expelling this ghost from this location, before we save Jake from the lock, I will light the ceremonial herb that will give us the sight, that will give us the power we need to set Jake free. My Twitter's not working out here. Let's see if you can get a ghost. Go ahead and try. I summon the ghost into ghostly ghostness. Come the fuck out if you're a real ghost. Now. Demand it. This is how we fucking hunt ghosts. And as we've pointed out, and as we've said, there are no ghosts. So this is where the ghost lives, from what we know. And he's not home. Let me see, let me try this. Jake, you may overtake my body. I accept you into my heart and soul. Please, if you are here, take control of me. Use me as a vessel. Gross. Nothing. Yeah, no ghosts. So I guess the lesson of Beaver Creek is there's no such thing as ghosts. There's no God, and the Bible is a lie. Off to Helltown to find out what the government's up to in the middle of fucking nowhere, Ohio.
Hey, Street Fighters, how's it going? We are here tonight on Street Fight to take your calls. That's right, Sunday night call-in show. The number to dial is 614-655-3887. You can talk to us. Let us know what's going on in your world, at your job, in your quarantine, whatever it may be. We want to hear from the listeners of the show. Let us know what's going on. We are the #1 anarcho comedy radio show on any station across the nation. We've been doing it for 10 years now, and we desperately want to get back on the road so we can hang with people again and see all y'all in your shining glory as we stand on the stage and look down at you and you laugh at us. One of my favorite things to do, and it's been a long time. Also enjoy hanging out afterwards and just wasting time, just pissing in the fucking wind. It's the greatest.
Our love bank needs filled up.
Yeah, we're not there.
Really what's going on?
We're close. We're close. I'm ready. Yeah. But we're almost there. And if you want to call the show, once again, the number one more time is 614-655-3887. It's the same number every single week. So if you're listening to this on the podcast and you decide that you're a brewery person that wants to call in and give us the scoop on your experiences, that number is the same every single week. We're taking calls 9 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time. Let us know what's up. And if you want more of what we do, we have the show on Wednesday nights. If you're a live stream person, you like to watch us on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. On Wednesday nights around 11 o'clock at night, we will go live for the Basement Show. And right now, on our bonus feed, which pays the bills and keeps this whole thing rolling, and it's the reason we don't sell you mattresses or underwear, is patreon.com/streetfightradio, where you can get access to so much bonus content just by putting your name on the dotted line there. Get access to all the premium audio that we do, including the Get Motivated series, which was really good this week. We just released the Tony Robbins episode of Get Motivated with Kath Barbadoro that was released on Friday. So get at it.
Yeah, get at it. Get at that fucking thing.
Yeah, I want to hear what you think.
Yup. And this week we'll do one. We don't quite have it all figured out, but it'll happen, you know. You always get a bonus show. Always get a bonus show. Man. What's going on? Keep talking? Oh, okay. Well, that's some professional shit I just did there.
Over here.
So, man, I'm.
Just talk. What were you gonna say when I threw to you?
Nothing. I'm staying off Twitter tonight because I usually like to be on Twitter during the call-in show to see what's going on. I want to have my head in the church of what's happening now, as they call it. You know what I mean? That's I've heard that said. So I like to know what's going on. So I'm just on Google News because I'm like, I don't know where else to fucking go. You know?
Yeah.
Don't have Facebook anymore. Don't really go on Instagram. So, God, this is just this depressing story right here that I thought we had put an end to.
Which one?
This Ohio college student in critical condition, organs to be donated after alleged hazing incident. Like, man, that was a big story in like the early 2000s, late 90s, that hazing shit. And I like, you always think they got rid of it, but you're like, they'll never get rid of hazing. It'll never be gone. Hazing will always exist, you know?
I mean, we just talked about it on the Tony Robbins Get Motivated episode. He does hazing.
Yeah.
He makes people drink gross stuff. He calls them losers in front of the whole crowd. That's hazing.
God, you know, and it's funny because the way I was back in, you know, my young days, which was like 97, 98, 99, 2000, the big hazing stories would come out, and, you know, I was young and at a point where like I would be involved with maybe hazing. You know what I mean? Like that was, I didn't go to college at that time, so like I wasn't going to be getting into a fraternity, but like among my friends, my dirtbag and criminal friends, we all sort of thought like, you know, hazing is stupid. You know what I mean? And I don't want to be in a frat if I have to get hazed. And I've always felt that way. Like, I just have always been like, I don't want to do nothing where I got to get hazed. You know, I've talked to my brother.
That's why I didn't join a gang?
Yeah. Remember, I've told the story about why I didn't join a gang. A kid in my 9th grade started a gang, and he asked me to join, and he said, we got to jump you in. And I was like, let me see how this gang plays out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm willing to take an ass whipping, but, like, this gang didn't even last through the first 9 weeks of school. So I would have taken an ass whipping, and then fucking the gang falls apart. And it's like, well, I'm not even in a gang anymore. I got beat up. I'm not even in a gang anymore.
Right.
You know?
But this frat has better outcomes than the gang.
That's true. I mean, the fraternities do have good outcomes. And, like, I know somebody that went to school who joined a sorority. I don't know any fraternity people at all.
Tom Sexton from Trailblazers.
Tom, okay. I'd have to talk to Tom about the fraternity then. Tom and Rob. I do know Tom and Rob. But I don't quite know. But I do understand that when you're 18, 19 years old and you're going into college, that a lot of people advise to join those things. You know, that's like a part of the advice for going to college. Yeah, join a fraternity. You can get good jobs and you'll have brothers for the rest of your life. And it's like, but you got to like butt chug brews and stuff like that, man. And I don't want to fucking do that. Like, I don't want some guy yelling at me. It's why I didn't go into the military. I'm not built for organizations, I guess, is what I've learned.
Sure.
You know, like just any organization. Because I always saw orientation. I feel like I got hazed at the cable company. You know what I mean? I got hazed at the call center. They put me in something called the tank. And they were just like, yeah, you don't really know what you're doing, but you got to answer phones just to get used to it. You know what I mean? Like where it was like, for the first like 4 weeks you worked in the call center, they put you in this thing called the tank. And it was like just another row of the call center. But a guy would walk up and down the row and like, or a guy, a gal, or a non-binary pal would walk up and down the row and you'd be like, hey, this person's saying this, what do I do? And shit like that. And like
trial by fire.
Yeah. Or they would sit somebody next to you with a phone plugged into it and they would sit on the phone and they'd sort of tell you what to do. Or sometimes they would even have me in there training people after a while. I didn't like doing it though, because it was just like, I'd tell them to fuck off. You know what I mean? Even though I would
hang up right now.
Yeah,
just hang up. Just pretend. Make a noise that sounds like you dropped the phone, and then hang up. But
yeah, and like, I don't know, man. I'm just not built for it. Just not built for the hazing. To
you got to risk it all to get into those
do.
secret societies, man. If you want to get adrenochrome, you're gonna have to do some fucking wild shit.
Yeah. It's just sad, man.
It
sad
is.
Some 20-year-old man. It was just like trying to do the right thing so that when he gets older, he can get a fucking job. You know what I mean? And like not have to struggle to pay his student loans back and shit like that. Now he's like dead. And it's just like, God damn it, man. He's just trying to impress his friends. I think those are the saddest deaths to me. The just trying to impress your friends' deaths, you know? My saddest injury was a trying to impress a girl injury. I always think about it. I've had several injuries, but breaking my wrist because I was trying to impress a girl was the saddest one of them all, because it was so desperate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was one of those things that was like, this is desperation.
It was a moonshot.
Yeah, I just want this girl to think I'm hot, so I'm going to jump over this fence without touching it. Like I was going to do a move. I was going to jump on top of the fence and then do like kind of a jump down
pose,
move, you know? And my foot went underneath my foot went underneath the pole. I flipped over and broke my wrist and had to walk home and, you know, trying not to cry because my friends were around me. So it's like, oh, I'm okay. I'm okay. But I broke my wrist. And to this day, like all the times I've hurt myself and broke a bone, I've broken a few bones in my day. That time is always the time where it's like, just, there was so much desperation in that, you know? And I'm sure this kid would take that back. I'm sure this kid would take his death back. Honestly, like
I hope.
Yeah, or
or maybe if we don't believe that, then we can just believe that they wanted it.
Yeah, just sad. It's just something that pops up in front of your face when you're trying to avoid seeing pay-per-views results.
Yeah, I guess I didn't need to know that. I know it's something that happens, but I guess I didn't need to know that though. But
yeah.
Thanks for telling me something sad.
Thanks, news. Thanks, the news. Well, I also have been reading about Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah, that's a sad
all
one,
weekend. Too. That's just like a whole story going on. This guy, He is something. But I think something about this Andrew Cuomo thing that really blows me away and that I can't stop thinking about is the rise and the fall. We talked about this a little bit on Get Motivated, but like top of the mountain, probably going to be president someday. Probably going to be the man. Now is just like everybody's like, you need to go the fuck away and don't be here anymore at all. We do not like you, you know? And I mean, a lot of the people around us knew that a lot of the shit, a lot of the credit he was getting for COVID was disingenuous. You know what I mean? Like everybody kind of knew that. We all knew that like it kind of kicked off in New York because they didn't lock it down quick enough, and that like the nursing homes were a mess there. But like he was still like, the guy wrote a book, dude. The guy wrote a fucking book and was on TV every week, and people were clapping for him, and they were just like, Howard Stern. Oh, he loved the guy. He's trying to set him up with Robin Quivers, and then tried to set him up with Chelsea Handler. Was like, hey, you know, and now it's like, you don't even want to talk to the fucking guy. You know what I mean? Stay the fuck away from Andrew Cuomo. He's a dangerous man.
Yeah, I have to say I haven't been keeping up on that one, to be honest.
I have to keep up on it. I subscribe to the New York Times.
Well, that was your mistake.
Yeah, I subscribe to the New York Times, so I have to fucking keep track of stuff, or I feel like I'm wasting my money.
I did listen to the Minion Death Call podcast where they talked about the comments of like all these Italian people saying like, that's just what you do when you're Italian. You make a journalist eat a hot dog in front of you.
Yeah. This
is how we are.
Come on, Italians. You do better, Italians.
I do have something to share if you want to hear. Someone wrote in that isn't able to call into the show about their brewery job.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
This comes from Alexander. They said, I don't think I'll have a chance to call in tomorrow, but I've got a super related personal situation for you. I work at a union-themed craft beer bar. The logo is 2 crossed hammers as a sickle and hammer reference. And there's heavy emphasis on never serving or carrying any beer that has any stake of large corporate beer in their company. Most of our regulars are all somewhat on the spectrum of the left, with many far left leaders. The bar itself has a very strange power structure in that there is none. We all get paid the same wage, which is minimum, and we all split tips evenly. We all work the same jobs. Everybody is cross-trained from kitchen to bar, and we switch it up as we go. It works really efficiently, they say. Only problem is we all get paid relatively low for our area. Yeah. Like when you take on that like role of not making too much money, like you're going to make the least amount of money.
Yeah.
I found that personally from the show. Only problem is we all get paid relatively low for our area. The bar itself isn't big and is purposely hidden away with no advertising or events or anything. Doesn't bring in money, but it maintains the cool vibe and good clientele. I wish it could make more money, but the owner takes home less than we do. That's a change of pace. And the asset value of the business itself is hardly anything. We all worked up there because we love the place, but it has its gripes. The money for sure, and the horizontal power structure never has any meetings or compromises. It's mostly passive-aggressive moves that we all deal with unless it turns out to be a major issue. All right, so it's a weird position. I helped open the place and have been there for 5 years. I would like more money, but I can't give up the leftist-adjacent dive bar, wear whatever I want, do whatever I want, as long as it helps the company, and also say fuck capitalism and corporate beer while in a room full of people. That probably would have been more of a fun as a call instead, but here's the email. Thank you, Alexander, for calling in.
That's wild, man.
That is, yeah. I think that's a hard situation.
I mean, you can't put on any, like, events?
Yeah, I would reach out. I would say that, like, if I'm being unfair to what we do, courting the money of people that are at least sympathetic to your cause is a good idea. Like, you should at least try to do, like, a queer night or something. You should try to get some sort of music in there
that is anti-establishment. I don't think that, like, it sounds like they're running like a fucking monastery.
Yeah, courting money isn't wrong.
Right.
Either. For a business. You could
Right.
just, try to make money would be nice. But I do get the thing where it's like, this is a leftist organization. We don't want to boss each other around. It's like horizontally organized. But it's also like, come on,
this is all...
Somebody could do something here.
Yeah, and like this, everything they're doing here is something that you could totally advertise. You could totally put it out there and say to people, "Hey, this is the type of establishment that we run. Please come hang out here." If everyone's sharing the money, if your owner is literally making the same amount as you, I think that you should push it. Like, I'd run marketing, I'd run Facebook ads. I think that you've achieved the kind of relationship that sounds like something we preach all the time, but you got to get more income. That doesn't mean you should be anti-income.
You should want to make some money. There's got to be money. The thing that leftist stuff always falls into is like, well, the money's not that important. It's like, well, if you want to continue to have a bar, then the money's going to be important. That's going to be a part of the steps there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean,
and it doesn't have to be. Nobody has to like get into the 1%. But if you can get to $15-$20 an hour, no complaints. I don't think you've done anything wrong.
I mean, I would do a show there.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah, absolutely.
When COVID's over, give us a call. We'll come in there and do a show. We'll bring in a few people. Watch it be in some place that like we couldn't draw anybody.
Yeah. It's just weird to me because like I think that a problem with a lot of work life is that if you try hard, you will not be rewarded for it, right?
Yeah.
You have a salary and they want you to be at your salary or they want you to be at your hourly wage. If you go above and beyond, they don't give out like bonuses for stuff like that. This seems like a place where you can be truly rewarded for your effort, where if the whole crew gets together to establish like a base of people that want to perform and hang out there, you will all benefit from it.
Yeah. That's true too. If you're just splitting the money, I would be like you said, but I would pay some money for a Facebook ad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Put some ads out, man. Do you have any like if you're doing a leftist thing, it also feels like you have connections with some sort of local press. Yeah. Where you could get the word. That's where you get the word out, really, is like when we do like a Columbus Alive thing. That always draws a few people to the show because it's a local thing that people that are looking for local shit want to be involved in. You know what I mean? Want to go to stuff. So, if we can even hook you up with a press person, let us know, because like that's the kind of shit where like if you went and gave an interview about how this place is run, people would be like, oh shit, that's kind of neat. I'll bet you there's fucking leftist people in town that don't even fucking know about it. Absolutely. You know what I mean?
There's union teachers in your town that go to a happy hour once a week that could easily move over to your organization and would love to do so.
There's more of us than you think. I think that's like another thing that people fall into is thinking it's a really small thing. It's like, yeah, it's really small. Leftists that live their principles might be a really small subsection of society. But you also have to think about people who consider themselves leftists that don't really live to the principles. That there are a lot of those people. And like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's hard to live those principles if you're working a real fucking job. But it's just like, if you go into any building downtown, there's probably 200 fucking leftists in there. You know what I mean? Like, it just, liberals consider themselves leftists. If you say this is a leftist space, then you will pull in a lot of people that you also have the chance to put literature in front of, that you have the chance to have conversations with. It's like, that could become like a hub for the kind of activity that like, can make the town better for everybody. I mean, that was what I always pictured when I wanted to get us a space, was kind of like, I want to get a space that's a hub for activity in Columbus, like for revolutionary activity in my city, where the DSA can meet, where all these people can meet. That's, I mean, if you run a bar, that's where people want to meet, So it sucks that it is like a thing where it's like, well, I'm gonna have to take on a lot of work, and nobody else is gonna probably. I mean, what it's gonna be is somebody's gonna have to take on a bunch of work, and other people aren't gonna help with it, but it's gonna get done. You know what I mean? That's what it's gonna take.
Yeah, I feel like for me, like if I'm doing the math on this equation here, it sounds like you've done 5 years of this, so you've been able to make do with it, but you would like there to be more, which is a great place to be in because you can make more out of this. Like there's so much more to be made from what you've got going on here, and it probably is going to take somebody. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they're too radical. Maybe they call you a sellout, but. I really don't see a problem with people that are revolutionary minded making fucking $50,000 a year. I don't think that's a crime. I don't think it's a crime for people to make $100,000 a year in a big city that also have our tendencies.
Yeah, and it again, as I said, it's like if money isn't the thing that is like drawing you in, if that's not it, then like. There is also a thing to be said for a place for people to organize. So, I mean, maybe you don't care about making $50,000, $100,000 a year. I would think that if you're not making much money, you care about making money, though. I mean, it's just that is I'm doing it for free is not something that a lot of people, especially working in restaurants, breweries, tap rooms, like they don't have the luxury of being like, I don't do this for money. And, you can start saying you don't do stuff for money when you're making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. Then you can be like, oh, I don't do this for money. It's like, I mean,
because you have enough already.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I fucking I do stuff for money. That's just the way it is. If somebody says they're going to give me money, I'm like, give me the money.
If I don't have money, I'm in a lot of fucking trouble.
Exactly. I'm not doing that TV show for free. I want to do the TV show. You know what I mean? I want to get the work done. I want to have this cool thing. I ain't gonna fucking do it for free though.
Right.
Just because I care and I want to do something, And I just think that like I don't know, there is a world out there. I think that people don't understand that there are a lot of people that lean to the left out there. They just think that doesn't exist. That there aren't a bunch of leftists. It's a small niche group of people, but I think you can draw a lot of people in like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is in your interest. I think you should be trying to get people to spend their happy hour at your place instead of a Fridays.
Yep.
Especially if they're sympathetic to what you do.
Yeah. Let's get some phone call people.
Phone action?
A phoner boner.
Ooh.
Katie last night said she was going to have some weed. And she was like, oh, I'm getting a stoner boner. And I was like, I don't like that at all.
I haven't heard that. I haven't seen that hashtag.
I've never heard stoner boner either. But now when you take weed, you say, I'm going to get a stoner boner.
Yeah, I wake up every morning with some stoner boner.
This is
rock hard and ready to go.
This is some good weed. I got a stoner boner.
All right. Our first call here is from some established video makers and producers. The guys behind Preserving Worlds on Means TV. Let me see if I can get them both in here so that it makes sense.
I'm nervous.
Hey.
Thanks for calling Street Fight. How's it going? What's your pronouns?
Hey, hello. This is Derek Murphy. I'm the writer and director of the series. My pronouns are he, him.
Hey, I'm Mitchell Zemmel. I'm the editor, animator, cinematographer, also he, him.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, thanks for calling in. So you both worked on the project Preserving Worlds together. When did that start?
Yeah, so Mitchell and I are both from the same hometown of Sarasota, Florida. That's where we met, and we made a feature film together called Sarasota Half in Dream that is also on Means TV. We cut a scene from that because it had nothing to do with the rest of the film, made it into its own short that turned into the pilot for Preserving Worlds, and then we made that into a series for Means. So, yeah, that's kind of how it got going.
That's right. Yeah, I guess we made the series itself last year, like starting in May.
Yeah, I'm looking at the website. It's fucking really cool, and it takes me back to when I was working in a fucking call center. I spent all day on websites that looked like this, and my Netscape navigator, just looking at sites that look like this.
So yeah, I made this. So the website is preservingworlds.net. I spent my whole winter vacation making it because I tried to make it look like a '90s GeoCities kind of website, which is harder to do today than it used to be because I had to make it mobile friendly.
Yeah, you have to turn off the anti-aliasing functions and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, Preserving Worlds is a documentary series about digital communities and like massively multiplayer games that still have a community making things. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So, go ahead, Mitchell. Yeah.
Oh, sure. I mean, in my words, I would say that Preserving Worlds is about old defunct virtual spaces, like after, like mostly game-based, and after the game has been out for a long time and population declines, oftentimes the creators behind the game, the developers, move on to other more lucrative projects. And we tried to kind of look at what happens to the people who've sort of built these connections with, other humans through this, game or system that has started to become abandoned, and what becomes of them. How do they often band together to try and create or perpetuate the system, keep the game alive.
Yeah, a lot of the times these games get abandoned by their creators because they're no longer generating profit. So a lot of it we covered, like people making fan servers or finding ways to keep the game going even when the people who made it shut it down.
Yeah, and you cover some that actually, I mean, I remember from when I was a kid, like Myst and Doom. You cover Neo Habitat, ZZT, Worlds Chat, and Second Life, which I remember, dipping in and out of, or having friends that were related to them at some point in my life. But even like those old like memories of these things, the way the documentary is done, there is just something that is awe-inspiring about it. I think that, like, that humans created this, and there's like a human spirit behind preserving all of this. So you sign into Myst Online and like there's nobody is there, and you're just exploring these ancient digital ruins, but that there was intention behind it, and that's to me what is like so captivating about the whole series, is to see the way that like people persevere through this and kind of say like, yeah, I don't care if there's a new Call of Duty coming out. I like this game. I like WADs on Doom. I just want to play a new WAD on Doom. The Mario Maker is kind of similar, where there's games that get made that are like impressive and change the world, and then there are games that allow their users to change the world, and that creates something far more interesting, because humanity is going to explore in a way that like developers could never foresee.
Yeah, I completely agree, and that was something that kind of drove which games we focused on. Was we focused entirely on games where, like you said, players can contribute something important to the world of that game. Like they can create a 3D space you can explore, or they can create player organizations that help other people have a better experience in the game, or they can create their own levels or games using the game, like ZZT games. It's really wonderful to see like hobbyist, like amateur creativity. Like this is essentially like folk art. This is like regular people using these games to create their own art and share it with people that are on their same wavelength. It's really inspiring.
Absolutely.
Right. It's like, it is interesting to think about, like, because the internet is a place where you just kind of paste over the last. Yeah, it's like wallpaper, basically. You just put up new sites, and especially now where it's like there's only really 6 websites left that people go to. I
Yeah.
mean, I know there are a lot of places, but like going back and into these Second Lives and Mist and stuff like that and looking at what was going on, I mean, it reminds me of what I was doing on the internet back in 2001s. Like, there are ruins out there. There is stuff out there that like people made. And you know, back in the day, we would have had their books or their pamphlets or even like just their stories. And it is cool to index that stuff so that we can see what people were doing. And it is also very cool to see that like Second Life still has a following, that people still exist. You know, I was on Twitter and following a guy that was way into Second Life, and when it closed down, it seemed pretty devastating to that dude. He was a guy that was, you know, home a lot. He wasn't like able to get out. He was an older guy, and it was sort of devastating when Second Life went away. And it's good to see that like people did end up carrying it on in some way. I can you still play these games? Some of them?
Yeah, these are all
of them.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all still active. Yeah, you can access all of them. I mean, besides the Worlds Chat episode, which we recorded 6 years ago, these were all sort of like live investigations into the game from like mid 2020. So some of them have come back from the dead in some ways, like with the Neo Habitat episode. That was a game that was only briefly around in the 80s, and then kind of some other games came out of it, but it has been recreated by this museum's archival effort to create like a living exhibit where you can explore it. Then the other games,
neat.
Mist Online has a couple of different servers. There's a surprising amount of activity in a lot of these games, and it's all, it's in some combination of new users who are coming to this older thing and appreciating it in sort of this nostalgic way, and longtime users who were around in its heyday and have continued to keep the community going, which is a really awesome sight to see.
Yeah, that's real fucking cool. It like really reminds me, because in my family, we were really early to the internet, to BBSs actually, before even you dialed into a BBS and you were part of a forum, and we would just go on and trash talk and troll. It was like we were terrible BBS members, but like all that shit's gone. And like I would love to go back and look through. I would love to be able to go back and look through some like AOL chats and shit just to see what was going on, because it is going to be hard to index that kind of history, the online history. And it is cool that you guys are trying to index a piece of it. I spent so much time on message boards back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, that like I don't know, it's like the internet is so different now. It's so it is really Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and I'm probably missing one, Snapchat, TikTok, I guess. It is like that's where people go. People just log into like one thing. And I even remember early on in the internet where people would be like, don't get America Online because you get stuck in the America Online thing. And you're like, well, now everybody's stuck in less than the America Online thing.
Yeah, it's true. The internet really has changed and in many ways for the worse. Like, I do really miss that Wild West feeling of exploration. Like, anything could happen. You could come across anything online. You're not just on a couple of platforms made by Silicon Valley, like mega corporations, right?
Right.
So it is sad where things have come to, but yeah, we tried to find some of those pockets of the old internet that still survive. And, you were talking about indexing and preserving, like that is a big part of the series, is we really did want to create like this documentation and these records of like what it's like today, what it used to be like, because this is very ephemeral stuff. Like, a lot of these games could shut down at any time, and it's going to be important to be able to remember, like, what it was like, what they meant to people. I think it's going to be very interesting to, the historical record. So we did try and do that with the series. We wanted to entertain people, but we also were doing kind of that archival effort.
It's good. It really is good to do the archival stuff. I mean, it's like people are going to want to see this stuff. I think we're really going to regret how much of this we've let go that is just gone forever. I think we're really going to regret that in 50 years, I don't think people knew how the internet was going to be. I don't think people understood, like, to be able to go through the different phases of the internet would be really nice, like rings on a tree. Almost. It would be really great if we could do that. And I people like you are like trying to preserve some of that, where we can look at what it looked like then. And that's really great. It's just like you used to go online and you would, like, I used to go online every day and I go to like 4 websites. One of them was just a Deftones message board. And I would spend like hours and hours and hours just talking about the Deftones or talking about something I saw on TV with Deftones fans, and like those highly specialized corners of the internet are pretty much gone now. And we're all mixed together and probably for the worse, really. Yeah. What do you mean?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's why we all fight, is we're all mixed together now.
Yeah, I wouldn't draw a conclusion that is for the worst. I don't believe in preserving the past as like an inherently good thing either. I think that like these communities are rabid because the game is great and because the community they've built is great, but the rest of the stuff that fell to the wayside did so because it wasn't important. I feel like it's a matter of like if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, doesn't make a sound type thing. And that these are the folks that are still ringing the bell. That when you go to Mist Online nowadays, there is a welcoming committee that says, "Welcome to Mist Online. Please explore all of the world that we've built." And you can go through it as like a museum in a way of what the past was. And Doom is the same way, where it's people love first-person shooters, and this may have been the best one ever made. Some people think that like Doom was it, and they'll just wait for like the next thing to come out. And I think that I think that's what, to me, is you find out what people really cherish. You find out what people hold dear once you get away from it to see how much they want to keep this thing going and how important it was to them. Because the rest of the forum junk probably was just that, which is junk. Like there was no reason to keep a lot of it.
Sure.
From an archivist point of view, it is true that you have to do triage. Like, you can't preserve everything. Like, some things you have to leave out of your archives, right? So it is true that, I guess you want stuff that's representative or stuff that's important to a historical record or will be of value to researchers in the future or just to people in general. I don't know. Yeah, it is true. Yeah, you got to pay attention to what matters in the long term.
Yeah. And I would just add, not that I have professional experience with this like Derek. Derek, for those who don't know, does library and archival work outside of making films with me. I'm just an animator. But the thing that interests me personally about those kinds of like niche corners of the internet, the BBS forums and stuff, is it represents for a lot of people like a way of living and a way of interacting with the world that was only around for a very short period of time. Mm-hmm. And there's something interesting to me about like this is how people used to like interact with each other, and this is how people connected with other people that were not in their immediate physical space. And there was a lot of like negative behavior, especially on the earlier internet, some trolling and griefing and stuff. But it's very interesting to me, just like how this is like this super new form of communication, and this is the medium through which we exchanged our messages.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's
you have an interesting point there in that like all of these things probably represent like an 18-month flash in the pan. Like we could probably talk about like when they started to when they got hugely popular and were the zeitgeist until people forgot about them, and then you have these people that are left over. But it is like it's a frozen moment in time when this game was really taking over the attention of a lot of people that were gaming, in that era.
Yeah.
It's cool. I did not know any of this stuff was going on. So it's very cool that you brought that to our attention.
You can watch it free. It's free on Means TV.
I will be watching it.
If you go to Means TV, search Means TV Preserving Worlds, you can watch it for free. I highly recommend it. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad you were able to call in. Was there anything we missed?
I think that covered things. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having us on, you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, the show is free on Means TV, and then if you subscribe, there's some bonus episodes that you can check out that are Mitchell and I kind of exploring the games, kind of returning and like kind of improvise, like just finding stuff that are pretty fun. Yeah.
That's great.
The only other thing I have to add is just on a personal note, I am also anti-fraternity, but that's a very personal take that I'm.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm with you too. So am I.
I was always that way. It's so weird that it's so weird how you can live in different worlds from other people, where it's like some people feel like they have to join a fraternity when they get out, and then some people are vehemently anti it without needing anyone to tell you to be anti it.
It's also crazy that we like give like 18-year-olds this like seemingly kind of important decision to make. Like, what side of the line are you on?
Yeah.
It's like let's tell this child, let's try to get this child to give in to peer pressure, but not enough to die.
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
Yeah.
You let them on their own, and they're supposed to fucking drink water in a basement while they're chained to the fucking floor until they get water poisoning.
Yeah. That's exactly the thing. Is it's like 18-year-olds should not. I mean, this sounds stupid to say now, but 18-year-olds should not be binge drinking or forcing other 18-year-olds to binge drink because they haven't been taught how to drink and don't know what their limits are. So if these kids are joining fraternities, it's like, motherfucker, like at least just like fucking slap each other in the dick or something like that. I don't know what the fuck else you could do, but the drinking and stuff is bad.
Do mushy cookie instead of drinking.
I don't know, kick each other in the nuts. I don't fucking know what it would be, but like poisoning each other is not the best way to haze your friends into a group. I do wish in America that like it was okay to teach your teenage kid how to drink. Like I know that sounds like very backwards and stuff, but like in other countries when they're like 14, 15, 16, you give them a little here, you give them a little there, and they learn like they sort of start to learn their limits and what they can do, and they don't go fucking crazy. I once, when I was driving for Lyft, I had this guy from like Lebanon in my car. And he was talking to me about he had moved to Ohio State University campus. He moved right across the street from where they play the football games and in the building by where they tailgate. And he said he could not believe the first weekend of a football game because people were just laying down on the ground out in front of his place and like throwing up and shit like that. And he was just like, it just doesn't happen where I'm from. It's like, we drink a couple beers every now and then with our parents when we're like 15, 16, 17. There isn't like this hard age where we like where we're supposed to just go crazy. And that really affected me and changed me and was like, yeah, that does make a lot of sense.
Definitely.
Have a nice night, guys. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah,
where's the Twitter? Where can people follow along with what you're doing after now?
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, I'm on Twitter at Derek L. Murphy. So you can follow me there. I don't tweet that much, but follow me anyway. Why not?
We'll tweet more. Okay.
And I'm at Mitchell Zemmel on Twitter, and I tweet way too much, so it kind of evens out.
Good balance.
Cool. Yeah, you gotta have one that tweets all the time and one that doesn't tweet too much. That's our thing too.
Yeah, it's important.
Have
Thanks
a good
for
night,
calling
boys.
in. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah, it is really good. Like I am involved with Means TV stuff and talk to Nick and Naomi, but it was one where like I woke up in the morning, I put the first episode of Preserving Worlds on, and Erica was making breakfast, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch this until it's done. Like, don't bother me. I'm gonna watch it all the way through. It's just from jump. Because there's no humans involved. That's what I like about it, is that all of the dialogue is done through text boxes at the bottom, and it's all like 32-bit fucking architecture. So you're watching it and you're totally engrossed in these old school worlds, and like I said, it feels like looking at aliens. It feels like looking at like these ancient ruins that people built that they spent hours of their time, you know? Like they happened, but now nobody's there.
Yeah. I thought Second Life was totally gone. Because I had seen somebody really mourning that site one day, and I was like, oh, that's kind of sad if that was like their thing, you know?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, though, that like if communism happens, we're going to shut down Facebook and Twitter and make everybody go to Mist Online, but that's just the way it's going to happen.
Yeah, or Second Life.
You got to chip in on Second Life and do something worthwhile there.
You can be like a bee or a bug or something like that. Oh, God, I ended up on Twitter, see?
All right, thanks for calling Street Fight. What are your pronouns tonight?
Hey guys,
hello.
Chip from New York.
What's up? How's it going?
Oh, it's going, guys. I'm first time, long time. Life's been pretty boring for a while, but things got kind of crazy the last month, and I wanted to kind of give you a little rundown. Since it's got kind of a little everything, but I'll try to keep it short.
Cool, go for it. Things have gotten crazy, and they're gonna keep getting crazier. I saw a guy in a cape today.
That's neat.
Well, I wish I saw a guy in a cape today. That would have been tight, actually.
I was kind of like, this guy's feeling too comfortable. This is what happens when we're locked in our house for a year. Nobody said you look stupid to the guy, and now he's out in a cape. It's like, come on, man. Reel it back a little.
Very okay.
Yeah. Okay. Act like you've been outside before.
Like an Oliver Twist cape or like a Superman cape?
Like a fancy cape, like a black fancy cape.
Like a wool cape.
Like George Costanza had, when George Costanza had the cape. Or not George Costanza, Larry David had the cape. But it was just like a cape, and it was tied in the front, and I was just like, what are you doing, man?
I'm here caping.
Don't wear a cape.
Feeling himself.
Yeah, he was. I don't want to be mean to him. I just don't. I'm more understanding than most people, Not enough, I guess, because I'm sure there were some people who like wanted to trip him for wearing the cape. I was just like, oh, I can't believe you're wearing a cape. What's up? What's going on tonight?
All right. So I've been a teacher for the last 7 years, and I met this girl about 5.5 years ago, and we hit it off great. We met through mutual friends, but we lived about an hour apart. We did a long-distance thing for 2.5 years. We were both super busy, super-duper busy. And so, like, every weekend we would make time for ourselves. She had 2 young children she had to have custody of. I was a teacher. She worked with people with disabilities, very demanding jobs. We moved in together about 2.5 years ago, and the kids obviously came along, and things went really well, honestly, for years. And then the pandemic happened. Of course, that changed my gig. That changed her gig a lot. She worked in a residential setting. Yeah. And so I decided I was going to get out of teaching about 1.5 years ago. We talked about it. We discussed it. And I started saving money the minute I met this girl. And I had a bunch of money saved. We were going to look for an apartment, then a house in a different town, because we got a place kind of halfway in between where we worked. And long story short, she dumped me on Valentine's Day, via text, and told me she wasn't sure if she was going to let me see the boys again. And the reason being, she got bored. We had COVID together. We had COVID together in January, right? The whole family got it. And she said, February 14th, she said, I just don't feel the passion anymore. I'm bored. We don't do anything spontaneous. Of course, because for the last 11 months, it's been impossible.
Yeah.
And so I'm in this weird spot where she's moved out. I have a bunch of money in the bank. I have no job. I can't travel. And I've also been a drinker for the last 15 years. So the get motivated part comes in where my friend, who is a substance abuse counselor, convinced me. He said, are you on medication for depression? I am. He said, give it 7 days, 0 alcohol, work out every day. If you want to drink on the 8th day, just, it's okay. Just give it 7 days. And I did. And on the 8th day, I felt fantastic. I've been working out every single day. It's now been, I think, 18 days or 19 days, and I've been working out every single day. I look fantastic. I feel fantastic. And what he convinced me was that I was giving the medication a chance to work by taking away that depressant drug from my lifestyle. He was like, just see if it works. And I'm not saying that this would work for everybody. I was in a really weird situation, but I was able to break this loop of behavior in such a dramatic way while still, preserving some level of respect between us. I didn't show my ass and call her at 2 a.m. and, drunkenly or something like that. And I think she's kind of kicking herself right now. And I guess it's kind of a redemption story because I do have my shit together.
That's great.
And it's just been a dramatic couple of weeks. So with that whole Get Motivated series, I just kind of wanted to let people know, even in the darkest moments of your life, you can definitely work on shit.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that is an unbelievable story. I mean,
not really. I mean, I would say that my relationship is doing the best. I don't think that being home all the time it strengthened our relationship. It's a test to not be doing the regular daily grind and having to be around your partner and your family and all those people all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you were willing to sign up for it, but if she jumped ship on you, I think that's probably a good indicator, because you kind of want somebody that's going to ride it out through a fucking pandemic. I mean, I can say my relationship has not been spontaneous at all either, but I know why. It's because we're both deathly afraid of fucking coronavirus. So that's not really we can't use that as an excuse. But I'm glad
she's got undiagnosed depression as well that she's not dealing with, and that's the thing that I'm working on it, and she is absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, what? There's plenty of other people to get into a relationship with, and it sounds like you're in a good spot. And I felt like before I met my wife, one of my biggest one of the things I required was that I feel whole as a person, because I didn't want to be codependent and I didn't want to shack up with somebody that is not trying to be their best self, because I've been in relationships before where you try to do better, you try to change who you are, you try to have a happier attitude, and the other person is like, I don't like this, it's not what I'm used to. They find ways to smack you down from getting up. So I think that I think it's a solo mission. I think that when you have these breaks in relationships, it's a solo mission to figure out who you are, what's your foundational values, what brings you happiness, what are your good habits? We talked about it on the Tony Robbins thing, the working out every day. That's something to say. If anybody isn't going to put up with you taking an hour to yourself every single day working out, then you don't want to be in a relationship with them. Especially if they're okay if you drink 6 beers every night,
Yeah.
So.
I wasn't working out when I was drinking the 6 beers.
Right,
That's
right,
the
of
thing,
course.
You know?
Yeah, I understand that. That's what I'm saying is like the good habits are the ones that like everyone should get out of your way. Like I'm about to do a good habit. And it's like, woo!
Yeah.
Woo! Yay! Like, please help me.
I mean, that is, you know, when you do say it like that, it's like in my relationship even, it's like I've never been told like don't try this thing. You know what I mean? Like in 20 years, I've never been told like, hey, don't try this. It's always like, if you think that's gonna fucking fulfill you, do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like you know, I feel very lucky. I don't even know what it would be like to have somebody that wasn't encouraging you to fully fulfill yourself. You know what I mean? And like there is that person out there that is like that is only interested. I mean, not only interested. It makes it sound like they are going to worship you. What I'm saying is there is that person out there that wants to facilitate you being the best you can be, and that you want to facilitate them being the best them that they can be. Like there's always that person out there. And like, it sounds like you've got a handle on who you want to be now. And that, like, you know, as hard as it probably is to sort of move on, it is one of those things when you said like, I think she's kind of eating her heart out or whatever, like, because you're doing better. It's like, listen, I do so many things for that reason. And, you know, I have told my therapist about it. And like one of the things he said to me that really fucking changed me as a person was like, it's like not that bad. And
to do something out of spite, to succeed out of spite.
Yes. He basically explained to me like, that can't be
better than self-destruction.
Right.
Yeah. And he said,
absolutely.
like, you know, things that you do out of spite in the end, like, aren't spiteful. It's like I graduated college out of spite to people saying I couldn't do it. So I went and did it and got good grades. But in the end, I got a degree and I got good grades. And like, now it's not something I did out of spite. Now it's something I did because it sort of it made me want to be smarter. It made me want to be better. It proved to me that I could do stuff.
Well, you also established working habits to get things done as well. Like it upgraded you in ways that beyond the spite was like the inspiration to do it, but that's the least of what you gained from it.
Well, yeah, and my buddy told me, he's like, if you're doing this for her, like, forget it. It's not really gonna last.
Right.
So you need to do this for you, and that was the goal from the beginning. And the benefits to me personally, it has melted away a lot of my anxiety. I went to yoga on Friday. I'm doing jiu-jitsu next week. I'm doing things I literally never would have done. It's crazy. It has really changed me in a lot of ways. And I promise I'm not in a manic episode or anything. I got my feet on the ground.
Yeah,
here.
You sound together.
But
it is.
Yeah, I think
the
hardest. People need some hopeful right now.
Yes, and thank you for that. And I think that the get motivated, the financial people are full of shit. But what the other ones are trying to get across, which is the idea is that there can't be change until there's change. You know, like you can't you can't live your same life but have it be a little bit better, because the way you're living
and
your
I went
life.
Back on medication.
Yeah, you're gonna hit that plateau every single time if you wake up living the day the same way that you did before that didn't bring you happiness.
For sure.
So until you try a radical approach, until you switch things up and decide I'm a happy person that does these things, that does works out, drinks my water, takes my vitamins, does these proactive things, like, you're not going to get it. There's no way to cheat your way or think your way to it. It's just a matter of building these good habits. So I'm glad that's working for you.
Thank you, guys, and thanks for all you do. I love the miniseries, and also I don't like Andrew Cuomo, and I don't like fraternities. So just wanted to get that on the record.
They're both bad. Yeah, I agree with you. Have a good night.
You too.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
Bye, guys.
Peace. That's great. Good to hear.
It's good. That's stuff I like to hear. I like people, deciding to work on themselves and it's working for them. Yeah. I had a period where I decided to work on myself and it worked for me. And I feel good about that part of my life,
But you need another one.
I do need another one, and really bad. I need to work on myself.
Let's see who's next here. I don't see her. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight? What's your pronouns?
Hey, I'm Alex. He, him.
What's
How's
up,
it going, guys?
What's up, Alex? How's it going?
Oh, going pretty good. Glad I was able to get on the line after you read my whole tale at the beginning of this show here.
Oh, no. Sorry, buddy.
Well, I do want to hear it,
you weren't able to call in.
I want to hear it from the horse's mouth, though. The employee's mouth here. For those that just tuned in, we talked about a sort of union-themed brewery. I have questions, though. Why aren't there events there? I mean, currently we know why there aren't events there, but you know what I mean? Why don't y'all do events?
It's mostly the owner, so it's weird because it's like a union theme going on, but the owner has, the end-all be-all say, but there's horizontal underneath him. And his whole idea is that he wants a very relaxed, talkable kind of environment where like no TVs, no live music really, just the place where you can always go to and know that it's going to know what to expect, really.
I gotta tell you, that's a really bad idea, and here's why. No, I don't think it's the worst idea. It is like, but here's the thing. I would love that place. I would love a place where I could sit down and have a conversation with my friends, and we can hear each other talk, and we're all kind of circulating, and we're talking to other people in the bar, and this whole thing's going on. Like, I do agree with the owner that vibe is cool, but that vibe is not a bar.
It's bad for business.
Yeah.
It's terrible for business.
That's just not a bar.
No one wants that from a bar.
And people don't want people.
If you hear people at the bar while you're talking to them, you'll just leave. You'll straight up fucking leave if you could hear them clearly.
Yeah, the problem is that nobody wants anybody else to hear them talking. I learned this from doing a fucking live gigs. I learned this from that. It's because when we first started out, we weren't drawing that great sometimes. We go to a town and we draw 20 people, and if you draw 20 people, not one of those 20 people wants to be caught laughing, so nobody laughs.
Right.
That is like the way that it fucking works. And when you're in a place where the person at the bar can hear you at your table, you will not talk. Because you don't want them to hear you, because you think that they're judging, and they're probably not, and they're probably not listening to you. But to be completely honest, they probably are listening to you. I have the hardest time going out to dinner with my wife because I want to hear everybody else's conversation. So I don't talk. You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know if that works for a bar. Is there any music playing at all?
Yeah, it's at a decent volume. It's mostly the TVs and shows, but it's low enough where there's this kind of phenomenon he's trying to create where being able to hear people, it leads to this interactive conversation where it's rarely, well, up until now, back in the before time, rarely people sitting at tables. It just kind of would all naturally congregate together into large groups, which is always kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's fun.
If it worked at a time, it may work again. You know what I mean? Like when shit gets back to normal, who knows? I do have kind of a theory that when shit gets back to normal, we might mix a little more for at least a year or so. We might be a little less closed off in our groups when we go out. That's my hope. And I do feel like that's a good possibility.
Here, the only thing that I'm hearing from this is don't be picky about how you make your money. Don't complain that you didn't make your money the right way. If you're trying to make money and everybody here shows up to do a fucking shift, We need to make sure that everybody makes the max amount of money.
That's right.
I think that's the camaraderie, is that we should run a place that is great to be, where we all run home with fistfuls of cash from fucking comrades. I don't know why this has to be low-key and unassuming and a pauper's lifestyle.
Also, to me, and Alex, I don't know, you can agree or disagree with this. To me, it feels like the vibe you want could exist up until 8, and then you could have an event. You know what I mean? Like, where it's like, or maybe an event at that place takes on a different thing, where where you sort of have somebody leading the conversation in the room. You get a stage, you get a PA, you get somebody up there sort of leading the conversation at 8 or 9 o'clock, and you advertise what that conversation's going to be in advance, so people know, like, hey, we're having this fucking night, we're gonna, I don't know, read fucking poems we wrote in school, or we're gonna fucking talk about communism, or we're gonna write a new constitution or something like that. Like, have somebody leading, have like that kind of thing. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we do live. I that was just that was like my suggestion. Something that even not what we do live necessarily, because what we do live is more me and Brett talking for most of the time. I'm saying, like, somehow somebody's like a conversation DJ
MC
up on stage, where it's just like, what's going on, and everybody kind of talks about something. I think that could work too. But like, you could what?
That would be such a good gig.
Oh,
you show up to the bar and just hang out for 2 hours with a mic and just talk to people.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even have to have, you could just be like, tonight we're talking about this, and kind of have a whole thing going on in the room. But you could do, like, you could have the vibe that he wants up until 8, 9 o'clock, and then you could draw more people and everybody can make money.
It's actually a good pivot point, because one of the weird things, as far as being like a self-described leftist for the boss, all the employees are in the same level. And so there's a bunch of things that we want to do, like events. We have, like, there's an old stage in the bar that is currently unused.
That's a shame. That's a goddamn shame.
That's painful to me to even think about. You could have bands in there just fucking rocking it out, and like, it wouldn't ruin the vibe. We only do it at 9 or 10. You know what I mean? That's just, people want to party after a certain amount of time.
So how does does the rest of the staff feel like they would rather have more money?
Everybody's just about in on that. I mean, we all really like the job. It's as far as serving positions go, it's decent money. I'm out in the West Coast, so we average about $25 an hour after tips. So we're all surviving.
Yeah.
That is.
But I know we could all definitely go with a little more. It's just the problem of being able to, because there's not much more we can take from the boss himself. I mentioned in the original one that he pays himself out like $30,000 a year, and we don't have hardly any assets tied up in the bar or anything. But bringing more people in is the end goal amongst the staff at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's gonna take a change. It's like, you don't want John Taffer to come in there and change everything, but it's going to take a different philosophy, I think, to get people to come in. Like, it's going to take something. People want their night handed to them, I guess, in a way. Like, they want to know what they're getting when they show up at the place, in my opinion. Like, I want to know when I go to a bar at night, unless I'm going to a dive or something like that, or I'm just going to hang out with my friends, I do want to know what's going on there. I don't just, because I don't really drink, so I guess if you're going there just to drink, but if you show up in there and the music's real quiet, you might just turn around and leave on a Friday night, because that's like not what people are asking for. That's the problem. It seems like, I understand the concept, and I think the concept's fucking awesome, but I'm also don't drink, so I would make you $0 if I came into the place.
I don't know. There's just something about the organization that sounds like loser Democrat style, where you're not trying to be successful, but I think that, like, leftists should try to be successful. Like, we have to be so successful that we win. I don't think that you should take a loser position or not try to be like a big deal. We want this to be a big deal. We want everybody in. We want everybody to join in on this experiment here. So I don't see the idea of like gatekeeping or whatever it is that prevents people from coming in. I would try to make it a popular thing.
Yeah, we will help you. You just, if you want me and Brett sometime in July or August to come in and bar rescue,
Chris in the stage,
we'll come in there and bar rescue. You know, we'll come in there and be like, hey, you know, talk to your owner like, hey, you know, I love the idea. I love the idea. And then Brett will be like, I don't love the idea. And I'll be like, here's the difference between me and Brett. I don't drink, so I wouldn't make you a dime. Brett would make you a bunch of money because he drinks. It is tough, though. It is tough to do a leftist thing. You do want to live up to some sort of thing, but like in order for it to be successful, in order for it to carry through, in order for it to just exist, this space to exist, it has to be somewhat successful, you know? And that's what we're shooting for. It's like even just making it so your boss is making enough money that he's not going to just one day be like, fuck this, I can't do this anymore, I need money. Like that to me would be even like, come on, man, we got to change something. Is he just kind of a hippie type? Because it sounds like you work for a hippie to me.
He's definitely he's actually old school punk more than hippie.
Okay.
Oh,
and his whole thing is he actively has said he's like, I want only a certain crowd in here.
Oh,
he's like, I want people that wouldn't fit this vibe to not come in, which I get it, but I don't necessarily like it.
Oh, that's painful.
Yeah, it's like a personal vendetta against the like socias.
Against normies. It's anti-normie. It is like, oh, if some fucking normal person came in here, they would probably like say they like Joe Biden. And it's like, yeah, but we can like all talk to that person and like engage them in their ideas and stuff like that. I mean, you don't
charge them
like,
$6 for a beer.
Yeah, and believe me, you're not going to get right-wing people walking into a place with like, you know, hammers and sickles and stuff like that, and old punks. So you're going to be okay in that department. But I know the type. It just feels like, you know, hey man, you know, we got to keep our, I've seen this in bar rescue so much. That's the thing is like, you should, if you've never watched Bar Rescue, there's an episode about this place in Chicago. And this artist lady was running it, and it had a stage, but she was doing this weird stuff on the stage, and she just wouldn't listen to the guy. And her son was like, hey, we got to change this place into something. It can still have live music, but it can't be you up there in a diaper pounding on the fucking, you know, piano and screaming and rolling around and like making people sing with you and shit like that while they're trying to relax. Like, we need to do something new. We can't sell frozen pizzas here because they were doing frozen pizzas and shit. And Taffer comes in there and she's just like, I'm not going to do any of that stuff. This is an artistic institution. You know, this is like, we want this clientele that comes in. And he's just like, but you're like not getting clientele. That's the fucking thing. Is like you're
It's funny if you have all the money in the world to turn people away, but if this is everyone's job, we need to get everybody that we can in this place.
Yeah, and it again, I think his fears about the type of people, if normies came in there, I think his fears are like totally unfounded because like people know when they're welcome and when they're not welcome when they walk into a place. You know?
I don't think yuppies are going to show up and feel like this is a new watering hole for them.
Yeah, but I mean, if you thought about like, I'll bet you that just seeing me and Brett, or maybe not even Brett, just seeing me, Brian, come in, he would probably be like, I don't want that guy in here. You know what I mean? Because I don't fit the vibe or whatever. But I'm like exactly who he wants in there. You know? And that's the problem with that kind of attitude is you don't know who's coming in. I'm in rooms of leftists a lot. And they all look fucking different. They don't have like a singular look or vibe. They're totally all different.
Absolutely.
But I hope we helped at least. And I really hope like after this virus is done with us and stuff like that, like if everybody kind of, I wonder, have you guys all gotten together and sort of approached it like a union would by any chance?
That's the plot twist is none of us can really actually sit down and have meetings. It's just 10 people going in their own directions in a union-themed place with no union.
It sucks because it seems like if you could all 10 get together
on 1 is a union.
and just be like, dude, we got to do something.
10 on 1 is a union. I feel like if you can pull the brakes and say, we need to have a conversation about this place.
I mean, is he there all the time?
He is there all the time.
I knew it.
He busts his goddamn ass.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was like, maybe you could pull off some shit behind his back and be like, how about when you're not here, we'll bring a band in? You know what I mean? It's just like he's there all the time, so you can't do that.
He's never really talking to people. He's actually busting his ass. He's like building fridges in the back to put more beers in and whatnot. It's one thing. It's super cool because it's almost everything that I'd want in a job, but there's just these couple of massive holes missing in it.
Yeah, I would say if everything is so open ended like this, I wouldn't call it a union. I wouldn't say it's aggressive at all. I would just try to assemble some sort of group meeting for everybody and just say it's loosely related to marketing or outreach or advertising or getting new customers. And if he can get away with bullying everyone not to talk about it, that's just going to be the fate of things. But if you allow everyone the opportunity to say that, like, they want to try to get more people in there or work on creating an environment that gets more customers, you got to let them deal with it, and then you also know where you're at, if it's ever going to change or not. I mean, I think you need to force the issue because you sound invested and $25 an hour is nothing to sneeze at. I'd take that for sure myself. But you also have to know whether it's not going to change or not. If this guy decides to shut down any sort of negotiations about where things are going to go in the future, then you just have to relegate yourself to a life of being in a rut of this guy's making. And then you can decide whether you're just going to swallow that or you want to try to explore other options. That's how I feel about it.
That's about where I'm at. Thank you guys for listening to that.
You're welcome. It's an interesting story. I really enjoyed hearing it.
Yeah, I love it. It's cool. It's not something to like blow up, but I don't think that I don't think passive aggressiveness is appropriate for any organization. I don't think that we can't call organizing is not just like living off the fear of other people blowing up at you. We need to have some sort of formal way to have conversations about things that affect everyone, that may be uncomfortable.
I like that. I mean, I don't like the conversations, but, Oh, man. You know what? I told you I'm on the Google News site tonight, so I don't get spoiled on wrestling. And one of the headlines I saw, it was, hold on. Motherfucker.
For those of you that don't know, that was the Alexander from earlier in the show, the email that I read.
Yeah. A story that said like new drug could become the game changer that puts the pandemic on its head. It was like an at-home COVID cure.
Fun.
Oh, I got so excited when I saw it.
Hydroxychloroquine or whatever?
No. But I got so excited when I saw it, and it ended up being a Fox News story. So then I said, is there any place else reporting on this? And it was voiceofamerica.com. And I was like, all right, well, this isn't a thing.
You know what? I wanted to bring this up. I noticed on my Instagram stalking of right-wing pages that they have the absolute brilliant point where they call Obama's like children detention centers, and they called it under Trump kids in cages, and then under Biden it's juvenile detention centers. Like they've got the media dead to rights on that. Like the media is extremely unfair on that. I have to say, like, the Trump coverage was way nastier
than what they're willing to do to Joe Biden. And I think that's a fact. That's an absolute fact. And we lose points by not saying that, like, the media isn't gaining up on fucking Republican presidents. I mean, everything goes the same, but to me, I don't know. I feel like they've got it right, because I don't think Joe Biden should be treated as well as he has been.
They call them facilities something.
Yeah. Juvenile detention facilities.
It's not even detention. They took detention out of the name.
Yeah.
Some juvenile something facility. It's like, okay.
But they point out, like, it's the same way that, like, you know, under Trump, COVID was a nightmare. Under Biden, it's something, you know, all the kids can go back to school. And they're right. And we're losing all those people. There's no way you're going to ever convince them to trust people again, because the mainstream media shouldn't be trusted.
And they are right about that.
Yeah, and that's the reason that QAnon persists, is that, like, the mainstream media isn't doing their fucking job at all.
Yeah.
It's all a fix.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for calling Street Fight. What are your pronouns tonight?
Hey, it's Ryan, him.
Howdy.
Just wanted to, well, you just talked about something. I don't know if you guys saw that Washington Post headline. Biden stimulus showers money on Americans, sharply cutting policy and favoring individuals over businesses.
I did see that.
What horseshit is that?
I know.
Bullshit. Because they act like they dragged it out of Trump kicking and screaming, and that there wasn't a gigantic jump. I remember the numbers in wealth increase. Like, that was the biggest change ever back in 2020. Trump was right about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I don't know about you guys, but money is like raining from my ceiling. I have to like put it in garbage bags or some shit. I don't know what to do.
It's crazy.
So money.
It is crazy how much money they're giving us.
Right.
It's crazy. I actually just saw another one of those that as soon as you were reading that, a story popped up in front of me that said new Democrat stimulus plan may raise taxes on gig workers.
Great.
And it's like, that's what we wanted. That's actually what we wanted for the stimulus. Yeah, we couldn't get a minimum wage, but higher taxes on gig workers, that is where we should be finding our taxes.
I'm sitting in my house thinking about all these people delivering my groceries and how they're getting rich off of it for doing nothing at all.
All these goddamn fat cat Uber drivers taking 4 people to work a day and risking getting coronavirus. Yeah.
It's really fucked up.
Yeah.
Anyway, reason why I called, I've got just a short motivational speaker story from work.
Hell yes. Hell yeah. We love these people now.
All right.
I don't like Tony Robbins very much. Tony Robbins, the further I get away from him, the more problematic he is. Not a good guy, apparently. Does have some good ideas, maybe, but the bad stuff just outweighs the. It's the thing I think about when I do like shock jocks. It's like, shit, you know, I laughed about 10 times in that clip, but like the bad stuff outweighs all the times that I laughed.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what it was with Tony Robbins. I was kind of like, yeah. But the bad stuff outweighs the good stuff.
Yeah, you're sexually assaulting people.
You're sexually assaulting people. And also just even like, I was really taken aback. I was so glad it came up when we talked about it on Get Motivated, but his gender role stuff is abysmal.
Garbage.
Is really bad. It's like really, really regressive. Like 80s regressive, you know? You gotta be a man. You gotta roar like a lion. It's like, no. Shut up. That's not what we need. But so did they have a motivational speaker come to your work? Because I love it when jobs spend a bunch of money on that.
Yeah. So I work in like a manufacturing environment. I mean, I'm not on the line or anything, but I'm an engineer, but I work with the guys. So they brought in a guy named Josh Bleill, Bleill, if you want to look him up. He went to talk about like the entire plant about safety. And safety is really important. I work around a lot of big, heavy, hot shit, and if you're not careful and there aren't rules, you can get really hurt. So I'm happy with how my company actually handles safety. But this speaker was a bit. Let me just read a little bit from his about section on his site. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a Christian. I'm a spokesperson. I'm a Marine. So the dude was in Iraq in 2006. Lost both of his legs. Okay. At the time he was working for the Indianapolis Colts, so like just the perfect person for like corn-fed Hoosiers to like lap up and listen to, which I get why they picked him, I guess, because he's a really attractive pick for that. But
Yeah.
he's in the plant telling us about how to be safe, and he's telling us stories about when he was in like Fallujah with his buddies and how they're like keeping each other safe and kicking in doors in houses, and they're like, oh, we found this one house and we were trying to get a beat on this sniper, and we kicked the door and there was a family in there, and we kept each other safe and we kept them safe. And I'm like, you did a fucking home invasion is what that was. What are you talking like? How is this relevant? How's this relevant?
We kept them safe. Hey, we kicked their door in. We ran in there screaming and pointing guns at everybody, but we didn't shoot anybody. And we kind of just stood around and said, hey, now nobody's going to break into your house. That is really like they kicked the door in, pointed guns at them, and said, now nobody can break into your house.
Hey, you die with us. We're the last stand here.
Yeah. God. Military guys are not used to anybody that looks into what they're talking about, like that like actually listens to what they say. Because I know
they always feel like they had to do what they had to do.
Yeah, because I've been in conversations with guys that were in the military who said, like, we went over there, we didn't know what, or you can't really talk about it till you've been over there. Or something like that. And I have mentioned to them, like, well, I don't think you should be allowed to talk about it till you go over there without an enormous gun pointing it at everybody. You know what I mean? Because they go over there, but they constantly have a gun and they're pointing it at everybody that looks at them. It's like, well, you're not learning anything. Like, if I walked around Columbus pointing a gun at everybody that looked at me, I don't think I'd learn that much about the culture of Columbus, Ohio. I don't think I would know anything. People would just be like, bro, don't point that.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever you want. Hey, did you want something?
You want.
Like, you don't imagine.
And also, the people in Columbus, Columbus can't speak English either.
Right. Yes. If I walked around pointing a gun at people, screaming in a foreign language at people, like, I just don't just fucking screaming at them and fucking throwing them down on the ground and putting their hands behind their head and searching them. And shit like that. Somebody just set up a checkpoint in my neighborhood, and they're like, "You don't understand the culture over there." It's like, motherfucker, like, what do you know about anything? You fucking ate at Burger King every day you were in Iraq. I hate that they go over there, but if you confront a guy like this with the reality of what they were doing, nobody says it to them. And it's funny because what you're telling me, that thing that he said, we kicked the door in, we kept the family safe, which is an insane thing to say no matter who you are, is like, that's offensive to me. That's purely offensive to me.
Yeah.
But it's such a inoffensive thought that human resources brought this guy into your work to tell you that story.
Yeah, one of his books is called One Step at a Time, a young Marine story of courage. And it's like, I mean, you made that the title. Why did you choose courage? Is that how you feel about yourself?
It's courage, hope, and a job and a new life in the NFL. You didn't get the whole thing.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I do feel the dude lost his legs. Like, I feel bad about that. But like, you did it for I don't know, man. And you're coming to talk about like safety. These are the people who are like, oh, I hate when everything gets so political. But like, this is like the most political thing you could do is bring in a vet to talk about his experiences in the fucking war.
I know.
And about how we should use proper lifting equipment. Like, there's no tie in there. I don't get it.
You should drive around on your forklift. You should drive around on your forklift blaring Enter Sandman and drinking Rip Fuel while you're at work.
Maybe that's the lesson. I don't know.
So what was the point? Like, how long was it? Like an hour-long presentation, and what was the takeaway?
Well, and also I just want to throw this on there. Was there any specific safety methods in there? Like, did he say, for instance, put cones down when you're doing this? You know what I mean? Like, did he give you any specific stuff, or was it just did they just hire a guy to come in and tell us war stories?
No, nothing specific. Because like, he doesn't know. I don't know. He doesn't know what we do. But I think his presentation was like, I don't know, maybe like 45 minutes. It was just, a talk, and it was in the context of like a larger safety meeting that we do every year in the plant to like go over, hey, here's what we, the more specific job related stuff from the people from the company. But he was there to basically rah, hey, look at me, I can tell you about being safe with your buddies. This is what you should treat. I mean, the plant is not a war. We're at work. We're not we're not killing anybody. So bring in somebody who got injured in a job accident or something and can say, hey, this is really important shit, right? That's who I would want.
Yeah, bring in somebody that lost an arm fucking around with a lathe or something that. That'll teach you, or somebody who got hit in the head with like a steel girder that that kind of. I mean, I'll tell you what. I knew a guy that got super injured working at a steel plant. His head got injured. He was wearing the hard hat and everything, but he just got hit with like a steel thing. And, he got some brain damage. He ended up dying young. Like, it was just a really bad thing. But like after that, I took the safety at my job a lot more seriously, just from seeing a guy who didn't make it through.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I had seen guys that maybe got painkiller addictions from injuries and stuff like that, but at the time I was just like, that's not going to happen to me. But then seeing somebody who like it didn't work out for.
Right, didn't follow the protocols, ignored a safety sheet, and then all of a sudden got hit in the head with something that ended their life.
Yeah. And like but I also feel like again, it's more helpful for them to just tell you the safety protocols. They don't have to like dress it up in any way. They don't have to bring in like a stand-up comedian to tell you to put a cone in front of your truck when you get out of it or something like that, It's just a very like...
It costs money to do that.
I know. That's what... At the cable company, you must work at like a good business, because at the cable company I worked at, they didn't hire inspirational speakers. They read the book and then relayed their information to you on slides. It was
secondhand inspiration.
It was Good to Great was the thing. The guy that ran the place read the book Good to Great. Then he made slides directly taken from the book and then played a couple of the author's YouTube videos to us at a breakfast meeting. Damn. And like didn't pay the guy shit at all for it.
When I worked at the Discover Card call center, we had motivational people that would come in every few months. They would give them 10, 12,000, 15, whatever it was, like Antarctic Mike type guys.
How the fuck can't the cable company afford
They would
to do
show
that?
up with like a whole video package and just be like, "Are you excited to live the best day of your life?" And really just go for it.
That's what my wife gets one every year, where like fucking, Peyton Manning will show up or something and say like two words, or Dierks Bentley or Brantley Gilbert will go up there and play a song that's like tailored to the company, and then some pyro will go off and they'll say, "We got record profits this year. We had to cut bonuses because of COVID."
Well, I don't know why, but I love to tend to these spreadsheets of mine.
I actually got to see my wife's thing this year. You
got to see
I got to see pieces of it, yeah, because she was...
The pep rally. I always call them the pep rally. I don't know what they're actually called.
She was watching the quarterly employee appreciation video, and it was one of the days I was like ultra depressed, and I just wasn't getting moving fast enough, and I sat down on the couch next to her, and I was kind of just... I was like, "What are you doing?" And she was like, "It's the employee recognition meeting.
Jamboree."
And it was just a woman standing in front of a green screen saying like, "We fucking filled out those spreadsheets like nobody's business this year. We didn't come into work. Hey, we were home in our pajamas this year. Maybe next year we'll do this thing in front of you."
We still had growth of 3.4%.
Yeah. And I was watching it and I was just like, who is going off about this? Who cares about this? Like, I don't know why like a safety meeting to me. Okay.
I understand a safety meeting, and I understand having to do a safety meeting, I guess. But I always felt, and I got a lot more out of this. It was more annoying. Don't get me wrong. This was the most annoying thing in the world. But I found that a workbook that they would give you and make you sign and turn in one morning, I found that to be the most preferable way to do those kinds of meetings.
That mean you mean don't do them at all?
You don't do the meeting. You just hand people like a packet, and you're like, fucking fill out this packet. And then when it's done, you're like, you guys got any questions? And everybody goes, and then everybody leaves.
Yeah, that's not the best way to do it.
It is, though.
We do that too. We do both.
Oh, those are great meetings, aren't they? You just go in there and like some guy reads you like a form, and he's like, they're making us fill out these safety sheets. You know, hey, y'all know you're supposed to put a cone in front of the truck.
Yeah.
That was always the thing at the cable company. Hey, y'all know you're supposed to put a cone in front of your truck every time you park
cones
it.
out there.
It seriously is. You put a cone in front of and behind your truck. And if you ever see a cable van without the cone in front or behind, they're in trouble. And it doesn't fucking matter if you're parked at Kroger. It doesn't matter if you're parked. It's no matter where you're parked, you put a cone in front and a cone in back, because what it does is it forces you to walk around your truck and you don't run over somebody's kid or their dog or some shit like that. That's what it was for. But yeah, it's so funny when they bring guys in and that poor guy also, this Marine, somebody called him and was like, we'll pay you $5,000.
No. He wanted this gig.
No, I'm saying
you
though,
shop this shit because you feel like you got the story.
Yeah, he has like a PR agent. I'm saying that the PR agent his PR agent or his speaking agent contacted him and said, hey, you know, they want you for a safety meeting here at this plant in Indiana. And he was like, okay, so I'll do my normal speech, but every once in a while I'll throw the word safety in there. Because, like, I'm sure he does the same speech sometimes, but then he'll be like, you know, when we were out there in Fallujah, it wasn't about profit, but here it's about profit. Fallujah is your profit. You
No, it's kind of like a cover letter when you're applying for a job, where you just stop and say, like, I mean, really the most important thing on those days where me and my brothers were out doing the good fight, safety was the most important part. At the end of the night, I went to sleep thinking about my safety protocols, and that's why I'm here today, to remind you to stay safe in your workplace.
You can guarantee it's the same speech. He has like 4 speeches.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, why would you craft a new speech?
I know.
I would show up every single time to do, like, I've done sets in front of different crowds all over the United States. They all thought it was like a special experience. You know?
Yeah, but like most of the sets, yes, you're exactly right about that too. But like this guy probably, if I'm this guy, right, I have 4 speeches, okay? Or no, I have 1 speech that is 90 minutes. And I have a place to stop 60 minutes in, I have a place to stop 45 minutes in, and I have a place to stop 30 minutes in. And then I have little spots where every once in a while I have to go in and be like, and that's why safeties was the most, that's why when we laid our head,
where you can wrap it up.
Yeah, where we laid our head in our barracks, we looked at each other and we said, I'm glad we were safe today. And that was all because we follow work safety protocols. And then, like, everybody just claps, you know? And people do love, I mean, we make fun of them, but people love Marines so much.
Yeah, well, I mean, so at the end of this talk, of course, it's standing ovation, right? Just because, I mean, I don't know, you have to, I guess.
Yeah, you have to. When it's
like,
you don't have
you
to.
have to stand, and it's like, okay. I'm like, I would have been the only one in that whole fucking plant not standing if I didn't stand.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I'm at work, it's like I can't afford to not be, you know, like, patriotic, whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's so unfair for them. It's so unfair with them, though, that they expect that, though. That's the thing that makes you annoyed about it. It's like, fine, people give the troops standing ovations all the time when they're in public, but it's like, it wouldn't be as annoying to me if you knew that the troop didn't expect the standing ovation.
Or if the speech was like, great, I don't know.
Yeah.
You earned it? I don't know, man, whatever. Okay. Well, I'm sure you guys got more in the queue.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks for calling. We appreciate it.
Did it work?
Yeah,
So I want to say, like, so I'm sorry, just real quick, but were you inspired? Like, did it change your life after that?
So not by him. Just really quick. One year we had a guy who works for us. He came in and he talked about how he saw something happen. It was really unsafe. He didn't say anything. Then a guy died.
Woo!
And so that was hugely impactful because he was in a position to have stopped it, right? And he didn't do it. And so, yeah, like I said, I take safety really seriously. Not because of this guy, but just because what we do is important, and you got to watch out for each other out there. So.
That's great that you take it seriously too, because I didn't, and like I sometimes wish I would have been safer. I came out on the other end alive, but like I just think about some of the risks I took, and it was very stupid what I was doing.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I think also, safety in your job place is something that you can be a stickler about, that it will piss off the upper management, but they also can't punish you for or be mad about. Like, I remember driving power equipment around high tensile wires and seeing people get absolutely fucking devastated by them, go to the hospital and shit. So then when I had a freak out because they wanted me to do something unsafe, it was like, fuck, we can't do anything about this. He's right, Like, safety is a really great set of rules to use against management, I guess, in my opinion.
For sure, yeah.
And it is, because it should be. It's like we shouldn't be taking any fucking risk for the little amount of money they're willing to pay us for.
Yeah. I think people take risks. I truly believe that people take risks at work for safety. It is 100% like a lazy thing. And you just because for me it was like I didn't strap on to when you would climb a pole, you were supposed to wear a belt that had a strap around it that you strapped around the pole so that you couldn't fall down and you could lean back and work. And I never wore that belt with that strap. I just I was like, it's just quicker to climb the pole and just fucking do it and get down. And I knew a couple guys that fell off ladders, and it was pretty devastating for them. And they never worked as a cable guy again.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, you
were risking it all.
Yeah, it was stupid. It was very stupid. It was just laziness. It was just, I don't want to put the belt on. I don't want to get out, put the belt on, do all the safety stuff. And also for me, it was like, I don't want to wear a high vis vest because it looks stupid, which was stupid.
Then you got the Mike Rowe out there too, telling us it's not important, and don't get me started on that. But
yeah, safety third. It's just safety third. He's not saying
anything more important than you. Yeah. Put yourself a good job. It'll be better.
Hell yeah. Well, thanks for calling in.
Christ before you do your job. That's what Mike Rowe suggests.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Yeah. Thanks for calling. Appreciate it.
Hey, see you guys.
It's time.
Safety is really one of those things you can lean on. But what you're saying also as well is they require a level of productivity that doesn't allow you to do things safely. Yeah, like when your manager sees you take that little buckle and put it around the pole, they're like, "Oh, Jesus Christ, you're taking forever? Just climb up the pole and do the job."
Yeah, all you gotta do is cut it.
Now you're shimmying up and you've got this belt now you've got to put a fucking high vis vest on. What are you doing? This is annoying. I need somebody that can do this faster than it is safer.
It was always sort of like with the cable company, a lot of the safety protocols were so in the way of getting the work done. And I feel like they didn't really give a shit if you were safe in the end. Like, they were worried about OSHA catching you doing some unsafe shit, some stuff outside of the OSHA guidelines. But in my experience, I didn't get the impression that they really cared if I made it safe, because there were times where I would contact my boss and say, like, I don't feel safe doing this, and he'd be like, well, somebody's got to do it. You know, I remember, this street. I'll just say the street for you so that you understand it, and you can maybe relay. East Broad Street in Reynoldsburg is a 5-lane road, 50 miles an hour.
Road, yeah.
It's a major road, yeah. And I had a job where I had to run a line across that street from across that street to another pole, and then into a doctor's office. And I didn't have my ladder. Wasn't gonna get. I couldn't wrap my belt around it because the pole was really fat because it's on the side of a major road.
Yeah.
Right. And we needed to stop traffic. There was one other person with me to stop the traffic on that road. And
not enough.
I know it is a major. I'm talking. This is a 5-lane road. It might even be 8 lanes now. So I called and said, first of all, we should have a bucket truck where somebody could get in a bucket and go up there and work comfortably at the pole instead of me putting a ladder that doesn't really reach.
Yeah, you can't be on the top rung of your ladder. You're not supposed to be hanging out on the top rung of a ladder.
Yeah, and I ended up doing it because they wouldn't do anything for me. It needed
because you were
to get
pain
done.
in the ass because you wanted to bring a bucket out.
Yeah,
and
that's
a couple
what they
other
said.
people to direct traffic.
They said if you can't do it, then maybe you can't do your. It was like one of those. If you can't do it, then maybe you're not cut out for this job,
right.
Sort of thing. And it was unfair, and it was truly one of the scariest, sort of moments of my life. I was working on this thing, and they told us all the time, if you have to stop traffic, you're going to need 2 or 3 people to stop traffic on a road like that. But when it came down to it, and I needed that 2 or 3 people to get there and help me, they couldn't do it because they were all working.
Yeah.
There wasn't 2 or 3 people available.
No one was
to do the work, We're going to hit a break now.
We are going to hit a break now. This is
it's a hiccup.
Thisness music. You can find them at thisness.bandcamp.com. I don't have their message here, so this is a street fight band, but just enjoy all of the thisness from Thisness, available at thisness.bandcamp.com. Hit it.
distracted by turning stars. She tilted toward Orion. Her hands traced the lines. face was flushed from sleeping. From his bed, he saw Forrest burn. The smoke covered them in blankets. Pressing against the prairie grain. His body felt numb without movement. Under his bare feet were tremors. He pretended he didn't notice. And got lost in the shadows.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Street Fight Radio. If you enjoyed that music, it came from Thisness, Thisness, Thisness. You can find them at thisness.bandcamp.com and enjoy their tunes. They're Street Fight people. If you got a band that you're involved with and you want us to play your stuff, on the call-in show we need 10-15 minutes of music. So if you've got the links for that, we'll play them. You can send those to streetfightradio@gmail.com or any of the social media platforms. We're Street Fight WCRS on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We're Street Fight Radio on Twitch. Thanks for tuning in. We do have a pretty big call queue right now. So I want to say I'm glad you all are excited to talk and want to get on the show, but we're going to have to rush through these to make sure we get to everybody. Sound good?
I love it.
All right, let's see what we got. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight? What's your pronouns? Hello?
Ghost, hit your mute button. You're on mute. Muty woody. Woo woo.
Come on.
Mute.
Don't die on us.
Well,
now.
here, let me sing for you. I want to soak up the sun tonight. And hello, where are you?
424 zip code.
All right.
I'm here.
Hey, what's up?
Good. I had the wrong input. My apologies. This is Hank from Los Angeles. My pronouns are he, him.
What's up, Hank? How's it going tonight?
It's going. I've never called a radio show before, so apologies for the misfire there.
Me neither. So I understand.
No.
Nope.
You know what? I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I called a radio show when I was a kid to do a Barney Gumble impression, and it scared him off. They didn't let me on the air.
Not fair. No, I've never called a radio show before. So I've only been on this side.
Totally rude.
So what's going on tonight?
Well, every time you guys talk, or every caller gives me something new I wanted to bring up, and it's I just want to thank you for this show that you do. I started it listening around August. I paid pretty close attention to the progressive, online lefty world and stuff, and I'd heard Street Fight Radio, but never became a listener until last year, and then became a patron in September, and finally decided to man up or human up and call in and say hi.
No, yeah, hell yeah.
Right on. Let's see. I got a couple things. I know you want to run out. You don't have all the time, so maybe we should skip. I was going to talk about a TaskRabbit's settlement, a lawsuit settlement that came in. I got a check for it, so that was going to be kind of something to go through. But the other thing I was going to ask for was a pep talk for podcast success. And burnout, and that's kind of the other topic I was getting at.
Well, now I can't help you with burnout because I constantly have it. But when I give a pep talk, whenever I give a podcast pep talk, I'll give you I'll give you the quick and dirty thing that I always tell people. One, you got to do it every week. You can't take any time off. It sucks that you can't take any time off. But me and Brett did 6 years before we took a day off. So it's just really it might not happen right away. And you just got to keep plugging away to 30 people until one of your friends' podcasts take off and they mention you on the show. And that's how it worked for us. But it really is just don't expect. But first of all, I always say I never wanted people to hear the first year of shows that we did. Mm-hmm. I would have loved it if it would have been successful right away. But I'm glad that we did it. We kind of learned how to do it before we got listeners to the show. And you got to take that time to get good at what you're doing because it can be very hard. A lot of people think they're good right away. And it's just, that's not how it works. It's more of a,
totally.
It's more of a slow process. It sounds like you're just bullshitting with your friends. But it is a conversation that is not necessarily meant for, it's not like the conversations you have with your friends. You know what I mean? You got to make it for everybody. And I mean, that's what I always say. I always just say, you just got to look at it. You got to do it every week. You can't take any days off, and you knock it out and just hope for the best, you know, and really push hard. Once you know you're in once you're in the space, once you know you're in a spot where you are good, where everything's firing and everything's working, that's when you start promoting. And like Brett is better about the promoting stuff. But yeah, it's about consistency. I mean, podcasting is like 80% just consistency. People want you to be there every week.
Yeah, that's the advice I was expecting to hear, because I actually started doing my podcast in 2010. I've been grinding for a long time, on and off a bunch. Let me introduce a little more. I'm a stand-up comedian, or I was. I started doing comedy in 2009 and pushed really hard. I started in Chicago and really, out 5-6 nights a week doing it. Wound up moving to Los Angeles, dream chasing. Actually, I worked at the Young Turks show you guys might have heard.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah.
And so off and on, and I became a video editor, and I've also I'm a self-taught animator, and I've developed all these like production skills and shit. And LA is a tough town to keep doing stand-up at. So eventually, like, my stand-up efforts kind of petered out. Of course, I've got a bunch of emotional baggage and shit like that all comedians pretty much do. And so like my podcast has kind of taken on different iterations. I've done hundreds of episodes. I've done other shows. I've helped people start podcasts. And I know the advice. Like, I know the consistency is the right, and that's definitely the mistake that I make. And I'm kind of a solo operator. In fact, it's one reason I'm calling, is to sort of try to snap out of some of my comfort zones, because I'm missing a community. I'm missing some people, having like people in the same brain space, because I've sort of fallen off the stand-up wagon a few years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just, with COVID, with work, I was doing gig work. I actually wound up back at the Young Turks, and I was part of the union organizing movement there. I don't know if you've picked up on any of that.
I've heard about it. I didn't want to say anything about it because I know it's one of those things that's like, they didn't handle that well, from what I understand.
Listen, I could talk about this for hours, and I don't want to take up too much time, but it was brutal. I got laid off last year in January, at the beginning of the year, and the union didn't come public until mid-February. They responded with vicious union busting. I mean, every trick in the book. It was crazy. We did not expect them to deny the union. They rejected card checks, captive audience meetings, aggressive emails, screaming and yelling at the people. They fired somebody the day after Cenk's campaign. There was the biggest of them all. And by the way, interrupt me if you want to hear any more elaboration. There's articles on Huffington Post, Politico. I'm quoted in, I think, in the New Republic, because so it came out during Cenk's campaign. If you'll recall, he was running for Congress in California, 25th district, and his opponent was Christy Smith. Their immediate response, instead of just accepting the union, was to say that this seems like a conspiracy from his opponent to try to hurt him in his campaign. That was nuts. That most union campaigns don't occur while the CEO is also running for Congress. So that's a pretty unique set of factors. But yeah, it was insane. I would love to talk more about it. I could go on and on and on. So finally, then I'll say this, and I'll give you a sec. Because I was just laid off, I had the freedom to speak up, right? And I mean, I'm not really a wilting flower type of person. I'm kind of a loudmouth, opinionated guy. That, thus being a comedian or something like that. Yeah. And so I was fighting back online. I was responding. I was trying to not let them define the entire narrative, because it was just insane. Like, they weaponized their own audience against their own workers. It was one of the craziest things I've ever experienced. So that was right at the heart of it, because I more or less initiated the entire effort last summer. Although, to be fair, they had already done a little union mild flirting about 2 or 3 years before, when I wasn't there, and that got quashed quietly. But this turned into a huge snafu. And the quote unquote haters of TYT, Cenk and everybody, because they got a lot of folks online that don't like them. Yeah. They picked up on it. But one thing I noticed was just how little of the kind of progressive lefty world picked up on it. And I don't blame them necessarily. COVID was starting to ramp up. Things were starting to get a little intense, and it's not the biggest story in the world. But man, there's been nothing but silence on the left about this, and maybe that's the way you should. Maybe because they're a prominent outfit, people on the left should be quiet about their flagrant. They fired a guy the day after Jenk's campaign. The day he lost, he got like 5%. He wasn't going to win that fucking election. They fired a guy the morning after at 8 a.m.
The day I made jokes about it on Twitter. I know I made jokes about it on Twitter the day it was happening, but really the reason I didn't is because we've never worked with them at all or talked to them, and they're really, that whole outfit is sort of what a lot of that kind of outfit, that and Majority Report or Citizen Radio, a lot of, us and the people around us were a reaction to even that stuff. You know what I mean? So it was like we were never friendly with them. And we probably, I would agree with you that we might have should have brought up the union stuff on the air. It just feels weird talking shit about other podcasters or other hosts on the show, because we don't generally do that on here, and it would have felt weird to like engage in like a radio war sort of thing,
Right. And by the way, I didn't mean to imply that I was calling you out for not speaking up.
No. I understand what you're saying, though.
But it's fair. I mean, we're involved with that too, and this is stuff that I don't feel any type of way of reporting on it, but it isn't something that became like wildfire in the news system.
Yeah, and it probably should have been
not.
It would have been great if somebody would have called in at that time. We would have definitely gone on it for a while. We wouldn't have like hung up on somebody, but like, I don't know why it didn't come up really on the show. Maybe we were busy with other shit. Like you said, it came at the beginning of COVID, where it was like almost like every show was about COVID there for a period of time.
Right.
So it just felt like the biggest thing in the world. I think they kind of lucked out, the Young Turks, on the time that they decided to bust a union.
And their tactic of weaponizing their audience against their workers, and that's kind of loaded language I'm saying there. So what they came out with statements indicating they thought this was all just a coordinated conspiracy by her opponent, either via the workers who knowingly engaging in this as if we were out to scam or not scam, impede his election somehow, or that we were being manipulated by IATSE, the International Theater and Stage Employees. That's like the parent union that we were joining. We were joining the Motion Pictures Editors Guild.
Yeah.
So that was effective, though. Like, as far as like the way I think of that is, that's basically, like in movies where some kid just goes food fight, and then all the milk cartons and all the peas and all the tater tots start flying in the air. It's like they just created a commotion of it. So I think that, in addition to all the reasons why it was not that obvious to other shows and stuff, I think that really made it confusing. I think it made it seem like no one could really tell what was going on. So, yeah, I don't know. This is my first time speaking publicly about it, because it's been one of those burning fires in me for a year, actually longer than that. And there's a bigger story to tell too. So
it's a pretty
big.
Thanks for
listening to me, though.
It is like a pretty big organization too, and you would think that they would understand that like they should set up the. I don't know. Like if you decide to if Street Fight employees decided to unionize, I would 100% just accept it and say, hey, you're a union now. I would be kind of annoyed because it's like my wife and my cousin and stuff. I'd be like, come on, you can talk to me. But if they decided to do it, I think both me and Brett would just be like, cool, you're a union now. You know what I mean? Because it would feel wrong.
Vice News accepted their union in. Oh, sorry, I interrupted.
Right, it would feel
Vice
wrong.
News accepted their union in an hour. Yeah, it would be. Even if out of sheer self-preservation, that was one thing that caught me off guard. Was like, I knew they weren't going to like it. I've worked there for the last 8 years, off and on, both as an employee and an independent contractor. And I knew they weren't going to like it. You know, a company when you see all the sausage gets made. You know, that's why we had secret meetings and we did it all. Like we had the first meeting at my apartment.
That's a bummer, though.
But I did not expect them to shoot themselves in the head with their reaction. By
it's a bummer.
Acknowledging it. We were like, it's crazy. It was just, it showed such terrible judgment on top of the immorality of it, the hypocrisy.
They could be like a small indie thing and not have to worry about a union. They just set up like a whole TV channel. And you set up a whole TV channel and you got to fucking, you should be hiring union workers if you're running a TV channel.
Totally. We, some of our editing was on TV because they had a deal with a cable company for, to be carried on a cable package. Lots of money, investors. I was working as an editor. I have 10 years experience in video editing. I do graphics. I'm a comedian. I have a lot of history with TYT. Actually, I was also on the Jimmy Dore show in 2016. I worked for him for a stretch. If anybody ever was a fan of his, I was on the air with him right before the Ron Placone era started. We could also talk about that if you guys want.
No, I do not. Here's the thing. I don't want to get involved with Jimmy Dore at this point.
I don't blame you. Listen, I don't blame you. It's an interesting story, and I'm saving it for my memoirs because I don't think I can handle the stress. I'm burnt out as fuck.
Me too.
I was doing gig work. I've done Postmates. Everything is just exhausting. And when you go to work, I was trying to get to a point. I have all this experience as an editor. I live in LA, and the rate I was making was $21.63 an hour, which is
a lot less than an editor should make.
That's nothing. I mean, I want to do a lot more video projects, but when I tried to figure out how much the $35 an hour is going to run us, it is hard to square that. Like there's things I want to do, but I'm not going to do it without the budget so that the people involved are getting paid what they're worth. Like I don't have that skill, and it's like it's worth infinity amount of money to me. Like video editing, audio editing, any of the technical side of it is extremely valuable. It's the only thing that makes my stupid running mouth worth money is that people put it out there and make it digital.
And again, dude, you don't have to start a TV station.
Right.
You don't have to do that.
Right.
That's like not your right. If you were worried about employees unionizing, run a smaller operation.
Right.
It seems like you want it all.
Your entire career. Yeah, exactly. He wanted to play progressive on camera, but not live it in his workplace. Like he spent his whole career screaming into a microphone how important unions are, how workers got to stand up for themselves, how you should speak truth to power and all the kind of hokey bullshit. And then a union shows up at his door. And we the very first meeting we had, we talked about how we're not here to hurt the company. We're here to, do what's best for our principles and what we feel we need to do. It is heartbreaking. I mean, I gave years to this company, and it's one of the reasons I've gone like hard left in my last like 3 or 4 years too. Doing gig work, and then this experience, and now I'm calling Street Fight Radio and saying, "Hey guys, help me, help me make some sense of this fucking crazy situation."
Yeah, it is wild. Again,
there you go.
Like it is funny. It is like the thing I think about all the time is like people always just want the big organization, the big corporate entity, no matter what. And look, I would like more employees doing more shit for us too. And if we could afford to do that, we would absolutely do that. But instead, we keep the organization as large as we can, but still small. You know what I mean? Because we can't afford to hire 50 people. It's the same it's like kind of the small business thing where it's like, well, I want to run a small business, but I can't pay a living wage. And it's like, well, then you can't afford to have employees and you just have to do all the work, And that's how I feel about the Young Turks. It's like they should have, if they wanted to, if you want to have this large organization that has like a channel on YouTube TV and on some cable systems, then you got to pay the money. Like that's the only way it works. Your business becomes large, and you have to deal with the parts of that maybe aren't as pleasant to you. Also, I just can't imagine they couldn't afford to pay people and have a union.
No, that's ridiculous. Yeah, not at all. And I didn't know I was going to be laid off. But my whole plan for the year was to pitch shows about unions and to do like a labor, newspapers used to have labor sections.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make the Young Turks like a point of the spear for the lefty movement. By the way, from a capitalist perspective, there's shit tons of money to make making lefty content.
Yeah.
Look at Cenk's nephew. Look at Chapo. Look at your guys' success. I mean, like if you want to look at it from in terms of that, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't have hurt the company. We could have taught the world how to unionize and made it an example to like inspire workers and inspire people to stand up. And I often debated with myself. I've had this internal battle. Sorry, I'm going way longer. I know your queue is long. I can always call back. But I've had this internal battle about, should I speak up? Should I just move on? Should I do this? And I'm like, nah, you know what? Fuck that. I'm going to make a little stink about it when I can. Exactly. I'm going to do everything I can. Not everything, but I'm not going to go quietly. This is not the way I was taught to be, and not the way so. There's a lot more to say. I don't want to use up all your time.
Keep it up and tell us what your podcast is so people can, and you know what? If you message one of us, we can get you on when there's not a huge queue.
That'd be great. I'd love that. Yeah.
All right.
I've done hundreds and thousands of hours of podcasting, and I'm not a bad talker, so I don't think I'll waste your time.
What's the podcast?
I'm Hank Under. Winners and Losers. I'm actually Winners and Losers in the Twitch chat right now.
Cool.
I started Twitch streaming too. I'm doing a Valheim stream for my video game YouTube channel, Suck Professor. I got a ton of nutty little projects on the internet that I've worked on, and I'm busting my butt because the whole thing with me now is I finally sort of taken it seriously. I'm putting myself on face cam. I'm trying to get out of my comfort zones. I'm trying to like make connections with guys like you and shows and. Because I want to live a boss-free lifestyle. I can't take having some jagoff telling me how to spend my hours during my day. It just kills me. I can't stand it. Not that I wouldn't work with people on projects. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need an editor for some of your stuff. I'm here. I'm happy to work with others, but having a boss is just a nightmare. It's such a crime. This fucking system where we have to live under these authoritarian pieces of scum. It just kills me.
I agree.
There you go.
Well, just again, if you message one of us, we can get you on for a longer time. And have a good night.
Patreon? What messaging?
The Street Fight WCRS page, the email, Street Fight
Patreon,
radio@gmail.com, Patreon, and Murder X Brian.
I'll figure that.
Yeah. There's a bunch of places to get a hold of us.
Yeah.
Well, have a good night.
All right. You appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I gotta say also from just like a truly cynical point of view that if you let your people organize and you bragged about it a whole bunch and made it a part of your advertising, that seems like it would be advantageous to the whole organization. And you just have to figure out how to make the money work differently. But you could also
doesn't make sense.
Generate more money.
It doesn't make sense to knee-jerk reject a union.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All right.
It's working. They didn't take them down though, so that's why they made that bet.
I think they're probably a little less popular.
I agree. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who we talking to tonight? What's your pronouns?
What's up, guys? This is Dell from North Carolina. I go by he, him.
What's up, Dell?
I'm following up of a call I made a little while ago about Buc-ee's in North Carolina.
Oh, okay, yes.
They are no longer going to build right here. So we got Buc-ee's out of here.
Fuck yeah! How'd you pull it off?
Yeah, who spearheaded that effort?
Well, me and about 12 other people created a group called A Voice for Eflin and Orange, and we got a petition that got over 6,000 signatures, and we stacked, through like canvassing and organizing, we were able to get, activate and mobilize the community to like reach out to county commissioners, and, we raised money for ad space and signs. So we like had ads on Hulu that I had to do the voiceover to that sounded like corny as fuck, but like it got the job.
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
That's incredible. Me and Brett should do an ad on Hulu. Now you got me wanting to do an ad on Hulu.
Dude, you guys totally, absolutely. It's so cheap.
Is it?
It's like really cheap to run an ad on Hulu. To anyone that's like thinking about how they need to get a message out, like, I mean, obviously advertising is a way, but like Hulu is like, I think we spent like $200 for like, I want to say like 4,000 views or something.
Yeah, right. Let's do a Hulu ad.
We gotta do a Hulu
Put
ad.
that on the list. For $200, we'll totally do a Hulu ad.
Yeah.
We'll make it stupider than shit too. I mean, really dumb shit.
But yeah, so like they did public comment. They had to extend out. So like Buc-ee's had to pay this lawyer from Raleigh, which is like 45 minutes away from where this site is, and the real estate director for Buc-ee's, he's a man named Stan Beard, and they had to keep coming back to these meetings to listen to the public just like drill into them.
Really?
Just be like, no, absolutely not. Like, I mean, it was a watershed that was like supplying water for over 7,000 people. Like, that's what they were building on top of a protected watershed that adjoined a critically protected watershed, which flows into the Eno River, which is like a 40-mile long river that dumps into the Neuse River Basin, which is like the whole state's water.
Wow. I can't believe I gotta tell you, congratulations. When you called, I was like,
thanks, man.
And this is here's the thing. When you called, I was like, they're building that motherfucking Buc-ee's. You know what I mean? Like,
there's so many fucking pieces. So I'm a musician, and I was actually I was moving to California doing a cross country tour in March, and then fucking Disney World closed, and I knew things were getting serious. And so I came back to North Carolina, and so like, yeah, man, like I was talking to my agent, and he was like, I told him, and he's like, man, I did not think you had a snowball's chance in hell of beating that.
No, when we talked, I think my whole brain was going like, oh, I hope you do. You know what I mean? You get on the air and you're like, I think you could do it. You just got really organized. You got really knocked out. You got to knock on the doors. You got to do this. You got to do that. And then it's like, not gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen. Yeah. That Buc-ee. And by the way, I think,
right.
And we didn't talk to you about this, but we did end up talking about Buc-ee's later on about their labor practices, and it sounds like a terrible place to work too.
Dog shit.
Bad. Very bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've lost my love.
They're like dead set on building in North Carolina. We were quoted in one of the newspapers that covered us as saying like, you can go wherever you want, but like 90% of our research is like applicable to wherever you go. Like the 10% is the watershed, which is like a very important thing. But like we literally had an entire website with like 10 tabs with 4 subdivisions of like, what is Buc-ee's? What is this building? Like what is this development? What is the rezoning application? Because it's confusing as shit. Like I said, like I'm a musician, and like I know more about like zoning than I ever wanted to fucking know.
You did it though. Congratulations on this. This is an incredible victory, and this is the kind of thing I like to hear because it makes me feel like good things are possible.
Yeah, man, and like it was definitely a win, and so this plot sits in a unincorporated town called Eflin, which is in the Cheeks Township, just for a little geography history lesson, and the communities of color in Eflin Cheeks have been like underserved. They've had their land stolen from them, and they've been underserved for decades and centuries. And all of the development in this county goes to the more densely populated and white areas of the county, right, for like school funding reasons. And also, just to note, these more densely populated white areas have an entirely separate school system than the rest of the county. But that's a whole nother story. But anyways, yeah. So I'm sorry?
No, go ahead. I mean, that's the case in a lot of places.
Yeah. But anyway, so this has now created this unique opportunity where, because tons of development have come through, and historically, I never knew this until after Buc-ee's withdrew, that there's been a lot of instances of white landowners who don't want bullshit built in their backyard, like pushing off development that black and brown folks, all over the county, or specifically in Western Orange County, wanted. And that's how they felt again here. And so what we're trying to do now is push a dialogue and have a seat at the table in this area of the county, and be first off, what do we want developed? What do we all want to see come? Because personally, I think we have enough buildings.
Yeah.
I think we're doing okay on buildings.
No, it is. It's a great starting point though. When the city council is like, "Hey, we're gonna put a Buc-ee's up here," it's like, well, hold on a second. Shouldn't everybody around here talk about what we want to see built and how we want things to happen? It's a great way to fight back against their decrees that they think they're about to levy upon you.
Right, exactly. And I think that, there's now this plan that's even bigger than Buc-ee's, that it's all fueled by the planning director of Orange County, who, obfuscated facts about a critically protected watershed to the planning board, to the point that a planning board member had to come in front of the Board of Commissioners and say, I was lied to by the planning director about where the watershed was. Yeah. And he's doing, all this other thing that's just an obscene amount of land that he just wants to put warehouses on. And it's the same critically protected watershed. It is literally two of the parcels of land sit in the exact same watershed that we just went over with Buc-ee's.
Well, I think you can stop it. I think you can win. Now I have all the faith in the world.
Yeah, I mean, we're
well. So before you get off, before we get you off the line here, I mean, what's the level of?
I don't want to take up too much time.
Yeah, what's the level of commitment? I mean, that it's required, for you, and also, the other people that are involved. I mean, is this have you been meeting weekly or going to just the meetings together? How has it played out?
So it was, I got in about a month into the group being a thing, and I realized that it was a older group of people. I'm the youngest person by 20 years, 26, and so I was kind of we need to have a protest. We need to up our social media game. As much as I kind of hate infographics, we got to start putting some infographics out.
Yeah. And
so at the peak, I mean, I was unfortunately putting in 12 hours a day, if not more, for over a month at one point. And I at the time, I'm now got my job back playing music for a dance department at a local university, but I was a completely unemployed musician, and so I just had the time, and it seemed well worth putting my time into. But no, I mean, it was an obscene amount of work, and we met once a week over Zoom, and they were 2, sometimes 2.5 hour long meetings, and then every day between that, you're on the phone with the NAACP, you're on the phone with, the Center for Biological Diversity. It's a pretty insane experience, but yeah, I mean, it was definitely hard. I'm sort of taking a step back now for this new development plan, but that's the thing is when you form, sorry, I'm giving a long-winded answer here. But when you form sort of a coalition or a collective of folks who are willing to do the work, you are able to work on you're able to multitask. Like you can deal with one thing and then have a group of other people like doing all the research on the next fight that you're going to have to get involved in.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at. Susie Subways from Prison Health News was kind of in a similar thing where they were working on it every single day, but they were able to farm out a lot of the work. And as long as they had the network of people to rely on to make sure the next action happened or the next protest or filings or whatever it may be, like those were the critical moments to make sure that it kept moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just also want to say that, you know, I am fairly new to organizing, but this was all done with like less than $5,000.
Oh, shit. I mean, that's incredible. Yeah, it's really incredible, Del. I mean, you really surprised. That really surprises me. That is a really happy story to hear.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I've been meaning to call, but like Sundays are like my day off, and like, you know, there's too many things to do.
Yeah.
So, well, my buddy reminded me to call in tonight, but I just figured, you know, that in the abyss of whatever the fuck kind of timeline we're on here, you know, there are glimmers of light that come out of community organizing.
Yeah. It's incredible. Organizing gets the goods.
And Del, send us a message on some sort of platform. Let us know who you are. I'll send you some street fight stuff, some shirts and stuff.
Oh, great, man. Thank you. I will, I'll message you on Facebook if that's cool.
Not a problem.
Cool deal. Good night, Del. Good to talk to you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
What a fucking story, dude.
That's great.
Let's get the next call. We got to roll.
I mean, it's all ruckus. It's all making people uncomfortable. And, like, if you got 12 other people in your town that are willing to be uncomfortable, like, that's a coalition. That's enough.
It's also, like, a lot of... I mean, the legal work is so critical. And you know, a thing I've learned from doing Street Fight is that there are a lot of leftist lawyers out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's networking. It's building the people out. It's finding something that you can all do together. I'm glad it worked. Can't wait to hear what happens in the future. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight? What's your pronouns?
Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Great. Hey, this is Bryant from the Cars and Comrades podcast. My pronouns are he, him.
What's up? How's it going tonight?
Oh, going pretty good. We just finished recording an episode of our podcast not too long ago.
Now you're podcasting
I thought I'd call
again.
in and exactly, yeah. I thought I'd call in and check in with Brian if you figured out the issues with your Kia. I
Not yet.
have a suggestion for you.
We just had a conversation during the break. The Consumer Affairs Office should be getting a hold of me tomorrow. And I will know more. But believe me, people will know if they rip me off this time. You know what I mean? I'm going to make a stink about it. But so far, I don't have any news. I got to tell you, I think I'm going to get ripped off. But I'm trying to hold my head up here.
Yeah. Well, let me preface this by saying I'm in no way a trained mechanic. And I've never worked on that particular model of Kia. So take this with a grain of salt. But I did see someone else online with one of those cars that was talking about they have some problems with the piston rings.
Mm-hmm.
And they tend to leak oil into the combustion chamber when they get a little bit worn out.
There you go. That is what's happening, actually. Yeah. I'm fairly certain.
Yeah. And so that could cause the issues with your transmission if it goes into limp home mode. It would have a speed limit on there.
Yeah, it hasn't gone into limp home.
And that could have also caused the...
My car hasn't gone into limp home mode. It was the catalytic converter got fucked up, and that needed fixed. But right now, we're really dealing with... I think what we're really dealing with is the recall. I think they recalled these engines because they eat oil. And I got a place that just doesn't want to replace the engine. They just don't want to do it. And my guess is because they don't want to do free labor. You know, I don't know if that's how it works as a mechanic, but if I'm not paying for the labor, I don't know who pays for the labor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think they have an economic incentive to rip you off with this, and they're probably not doing the correct tests that would be required to show that this engine is toast.
Yeah.
If I could suggest, I would maybe take it to another dealer or maybe to the same one and ask them to do a compression test on the engine, and that will tell them.
Brett just smiled from ear to ear when you said take it somewhere else, because literally during the break he said, "Are you going to even just take it somewhere else?" And I said, "No."
Yeah. Well, I think if you do a compression test, it'll tell you whether the engine is bad or not. Sweet. I mean, they'll probably try and weasel their way out of it one way or the other, but
for sure, I don't think they're doing any tests. If I'm being honest, you know, I told this story over the summer, but when I said my car wasn't shifting right, they just took me at my word and put a new transmission in it. You know what I mean? Right. And I would assume that if they had done some sort of a test, they would have realized, oh, the transmission's working. It's the catalytic converter. You know what I mean? But they didn't do the test. So they just said, hey, the transmission must be fucked up. He said it. And it's like, I just feel like they're not doing diagnostics, and they keep bragging because they're not charging me for diagnostics too. That's the other thing guy kept bragging about. He's like, look, buddy, you know, it's going to be $950, but I didn't charge you for that diag. You know, also very funny that they let off with the car needs an oil change. They let off, oil change, that'll be $39.99. And then they started naming the other shit. You got an aftermarket.
Yeah, that's the least of your problems right there.
Yeah, aftermarket oil filter was the wildest thing that he said to me. Well, you got an aftermarket oil filter. I was like, get the fuck out.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means.
It just is because it's not the Kia brand oil filter.
Right.
They're just doing anything they can to get out of helping me without getting $1,000.
Yeah, it seems that way.
That's how they earned your business.
That is how they earn my business. But I'm being an ass this time. You're not. I'm putting up a fuss this time. I mean, they got to deal with consumer affairs. I got a case number now.
What?
You think you believe in like internal affairs from the police too?
No. But it's not the consumer affairs is a different whole company than the dealership. It's Kia Corporation of Korea, I believe. I don't know. Maybe America. I don't know. But anyway, I don't know. I'm just trying here. But is your podcast about cars?
Cars and Comrades.
Yeah. So I called in about 6 months ago, and I was arguing with you guys about Miatas. And,
they suck.
So I put out my email. Disagree, but you know. I put out my email, and I had a few Street Fight listeners email me, and so we put together a podcast, and we're doing it now. We've I think got 4 or 5 episodes out now.
Sweet.
Another one coming out tonight.
I'll check it out.
So,
hey, and
yeah,
I'll check it out, but I gotta say this to you. I just want to say this to you. I gotta ask you a question. It's a very important question because you brought up the Miata thing. Are you my dad? Is this Ira Quimby calling into the show? Because he's the only other person I know.
I'm younger than you, so I don't think that's possible.
Well, Ira Quimby's the only other motherfucker that drives a Miata.
No,
they're
you gotta watch
cool cars.
MX5 Cup, dude.
Oh no,
there's MX5 Cup racing. Yeah. It's really good.
Oh,
it's really, really good.
Don't do this, man. Don't take my dad's side, Brett.
I'm gonna get one.
Thanks for standing up for me, Brett.
Don't you people quit taking my dad's side. So check out the Cars and Comrades podcast. I will check it out, and thank you for calling in.
All right, thanks, guys.
Peace.
Have a good night.
You motherfucker.
What?
Of course you would take my dad's side and be like, I'm going to go to Miata.
You know what? I mean,
I'll fucking lay down next to it and be longer than it.
But they're fun to drive. I don't get to drive any car that's fun anymore. If I borrow my friend's car, if I borrow their rental cars, there's just... I haven't driven a fun car in a long time.
No, you're right. None of our friends have fun cars at all.
No.
I mean, even our friends that have expensive cars, they're
practical.
Yeah, they stink. It's like I bought an expensive car, but it's like a motherfucking Toyota or some shit. You're like, I don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah.
Now everybody just thinks that a fun car is a Tesla. You know what I'm saying?
Unfortunately.
Like, that's what everybody thinks is a fun car.
Not me.
Glenn is like, I want a Tesla. That's a fun car. You know? If remember when you were little and you were like, I'm going to fucking get a Lamborghini when I get rich.
No, yesterday we went to Blendon Woods to go hike and everything, and there was an 84 Supra on the freeway. And I drove up as fast as I could right next to it and was like staring at it. And Erica was like, what are you doing? You're acting like a kid right now. You have to watch the road. We're on the freeway. And it's like, I have to see this car because I haven't seen this car since I was little. And this is the only time I get to see one like running on the road.
Can we get...
I want an old ass car.
Let's look into it. Maybe we can throw in with each other and like join one of those exotic car clubs. Because there's an exotic car club in town. You can just rent the car for the weekend and just tool around in it.
Yeah, I think we should... we got to get the foreign car library going so everyone can rent one.
They got Ferraris, they got Bentleys. I mean, you can be like, well, this week I'm going to take my wife out in the Bentley.
But the thing you don't understand is like the cars that get me going is like 280ZXs and stuff.
We got to get you one then.
Like a RX-7 or like a fucking... Yeah.
If we didn't have a queue, I'd tell you the story. There's this Mormon
A Grand National. I want to drive a fucking Buick Grand National with the turbos on it, like Dominic Toretto had in that fucking movie.
Okay. All right. Let's take the call. I do like that, though. I do like that you want a Dom car.
Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight? And what's your pronouns?
P-nouns.
Oop. How you guys doing?
Great. Who's this?
Speaker. What's up?
Nothing.
Hello?
Who's this? Hello.
This is Ben, Stoner Ben from Denver.
Oh, Ben, what's up?
At Delo74 on Twitter, formerly Ron Dickles.
All right, Ron Dickles, what's going on tonight?
Well, this is my last Sunday off for a while. I've been unemployed since mid-December. Just landed my some full-time employment. So,
it's sad, right? Because you're like,
which is good because what?
It's sad because you're like, I don't have a job, but now
Right.
I remember like times of joblessness, and then I would get a job, and then that last night before I had to go to work, being like, why the fuck did I get that job, man? Damn it, Like
I'm working 2 jobs this week. But
I've never gone. The only time I ever went at cable company was the only time I ever went in thinking like my life is fucking different now. Everything's changed. I have all these possibilities in the world. I feel good. And then the first day, I had to ride with a guy, and he told me I couldn't smoke, which it's like it's an employee vehicle. Who cares? You know what I mean? But he said you can't smoke. Which sucked. And then the motherfucker said, do you like country music? And at the time, I didn't really like country music. And I was like, not really. And he was like, well, too bad, because that's what I
don't really
listen
like country
to.
music now.
Oh, I love country music, though. But at the time, he was like, too bad. That's all I listened to. And then made me listen to it all day. And he was a prick to me all day. And that's who I rode with the whole time. And I was just like, this sucks. And then it brought me down to earth.
Fuck this.
Yeah, but I hope your first day is good.
Well, you see, tomorrow I'm working one day for a hemp temporary agency. That's probably too much closer to their name, but I'm doing trimming somewhere. But then Tuesday I start the full-time job at the cool dispensary up the street from me.
That's cool as fuck.
Which is it's the one that has the best weed, and it's also a 10-minute walk, so I don't have to spend $114 a month for bus passes like I did all last year.
Is it good money? Is it good money?
Well, it's minimum. It's Denver minimum wage, which is now $14.77.
They won't give They won't give anybody fucking 15.
They're like,
we're gonna get a $14.99 minimum wage.
Yeah. They just don't want to pay you that 33 cents.
That 23 cents is a fuck you from the city fathers. It's like, it's not.
Yeah,
we're not going to do this. We're not going to do the 15. I mean, everyone wants the 15,
We'll take the 1477. That's what we'll take.
We
But
didn't
yeah,
do this because you fought for it. We did this because we wanted it to be
Right.
1477.
Can they give you a weed
Yeah, yeah.
discount, or is that like illegal?
Oh no, that's part of the deal. And not only that, there's the whole
There we
magical
go.
world of Samps in the
Yeah.
industry.
That would save me
If
a
you
lot
work
of
in
money.
if you work at a store, you get like people put weed in pretty much everything out here in Denver, and they try and get your store to sell it, right?
Right.
And so what they do is they give all the bud tenders, like if they've got the cool new concentrate, the new whatever the full spectrum, this and that,
butters,
or
isolates,
candy
crystals.
bars, or all of it, dude.
I got some edibles.
That makes sense. That's like drug wraps.
Now I'm going to ask you this because
yeah.
I don't know if you know yet because you're not working there yet. But what's your take here on CBN? You got a take on
CBN,
that?
I want to try it.
I did.
I want to try it. These guys have gummies with it. When what happened?
So I thought I was buying a 5-to-1 CBD to THC gummy to sleep. It was called a 99. It was for sleeping. It was for tranquility and sedative effect.
It's the cannabinoid that that's what they're. It's like the sleepy time. Like if you get the shitty disposable pens with it's like it says like sleepy time tea, or it's like purple and has weird light. They're.
It had.
I don't know if you guys have that much that kind of. It's the retail side of it has been going since 2009 out here, since 5 years before rec, because as soon as the Holder thing happened, when he was like, we're not going to mess with dispensaries, they had cutesy names right away, and like
the
even with it, when it was just medical, it was.
It ended up being
Go
CBN
ahead.
instead of CBD. It wasn't. It was THC and CBN. So I took it last night, and I gotta tell you the truth, it was some relaxing shit. I felt like ultra relaxed. My body felt good. I'm sore all the time because I don't stretch and I walk a lot. And I was feeling pretty good, and I slept pretty well.
I can't drive.
Yeah, I slept pretty well. I don't know. It may have been what's a placebo effect, because I had read that CBN does that, but it was definitely I definitely felt different than I do when I do a high CBD or a just pure THC strain. I definitely felt different.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in that because I've got PTSD and recently had a big manic episode over the holidays, at the end of last year or whatever, which turned into some other shit. But that's kind of why I was calling, was just to like do the trailer, the movie trailer version of that. But yeah, CBNs especially, like this dispensary up here has gummies that are CBN that I wanted to check out. They also have the 2-to-1 gummies too, like it's 20 gummies that are 10 milligrams of CBD and 5 of the THC.
Yeah, those are good. I like that. I do 10-to-1.
Yeah. I don't know. 2-to-1 seems to work for me as like an anxiety med every day, like a one a day in the morning before work, and then
CBD fucking rules. People will shit talk CBD all day and all night, but I'm telling you, if you're in a legal state, CBD fucking kicks ass. Like, the only reason people don't like it is because of the scam shit that they sell at the fucking scam CBD stores. But if you got a high CBD strain of weed at a dispensary, there's no way you won't love it. I mean, my wife was like saying, "Oh, I don't love CBD. I don't want CBD in my weed. It makes it so I don't get crazy." And now she's like all into 1-to-1 now. She's like, "I just want 1-to-1. That's all I want. It's the best feeling." It really is. CBD gets a bad rap, but it's good shit. I love it. I mean, Brett, you've gotten into it too, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think it has its use. For
It does. It does. It's
really, not bullshit. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it's just if you're over 40, it makes sense. You know? There's lots of young people that
I'm 47.
Yeah.
There's young people that are like, I mean, you should do more MDMA and other stuff than CBD if you're talking about like alphabetic things to try.
Yeah.
But the CBD overall, even the squares I know now are into it. Like they don't do weed, but they take a CBD pill at the end of the night.
Yeah, it's good shit. I love it.
No, my mom, my 65-year-old mom, and she's the primary caregiver for my my sister, who's a year younger than me. I'll be 47 this year. Who's has autism, the low functioning, I guess, is the correct term. But she's born in 75, and both of them, my mom notices a difference in just her. She's not super verbal, but she notices the difference from just like I think 15 or 20 milligrams a day of CBD. You know, wouldn't want to mess with THC with the autism and with her not being able to communicate properly.
I mean, there's also a place.
I wish my mom would smoke a little weed, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah, there's a place for like doing 30 milligrams of THC with no CBD in it. I mean, there's places for everything. It's just funny that like because we have so many states where there's not any legal options, that CBD is sort of looked down upon through most people. And it's like I'm always extolling the virtues of it, but again, also saying like every single time I take CBD, there is 10 milligrams of THC in it. You know what I mean? Like I still want THC. Well,
and also there's like nothing wrong with just getting high.
Yeah, getting high kicks ass. It fucking rules the earth.
I prefer getting high.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes me nervous.
It
but
doesn't have to be a life. It doesn't have to be a lifestyle or a
Yeah, getting high fucking
normalize
rules.
getting high.
Yeah, getting high just fucking rules. Getting high, watching TV. I girled off with my daughter and my wife last night. I was stoned as shit. We watched a girl movie, and I had a great fucking time.
Fucking A.
Well, thanks for calling in, and congratulations on working at a dispensary. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Let me plug my Twitter because that's where my GoFundMe page is. That will explain the whole like what this year has been about, including breaking my sternum.
Do it
with a kung fu guy.
Okay.
Don't always. Sometimes resist the urge to fight back because sometimes the dude will punch you right in the chest. But it's at DELO74.
Sorry we cut you off there. Will you call us back?
No.
We'll put you right.
I'm going to put you to the
We're going to
top.
put you right through. We want to hear your kung fu experience. We just have calls to take.
I can write out stories and you can put them in the zine or whatever. If you want, I can do a column or something.
Just send us.
Please call in.
Yeah, get a hold of Brett and we'll get you on the air.
Okay.
I want to hear how you got kung fu.
That does sound
okay. Yeah, no problem.
We blew it there.
No, I was watching some YouTube videos of martial arts masters. Just kind of what they do is they like just move people around. They kind of just shush them and kind of. It's like no one fights like this. No one is going to just follow you because you touch their lower back.
When I was at the urgent care, like the doctor was like told me, she's like, this really doesn't happen. Like even in car accidents, the sternum, because that was the thing. I was in a mental hospital, slightly different thing, but for 8 days. Somebody got a little greedy and didn't realize when I told them I probably didn't have insurance that I was probably telling the truth.
Oh.
And I was committed for an extra 5 days involuntarily. But it's a whole thing.
Yeah. Please call back.
We'll do.
Have a good night.
I'll look
thanks
for
for calling.
CBN.
CBN. Hey, he helped us out with CBN.
CB anything is great with man.
Yeah. I gotta get you. I'll get you some of that CBN.
I gotta say, I'm not into the nerdy aspect of weed.
We also need to get some Delta 8 just to try it.
Okay.
Have you heard of the Delta 8?
I've heard that name said.
So it gets you high, but you can sell it at stores and shit because it's not technically illegal.
Okay.
Because it's not THC. And it apparently works. Like it gets you stoned. There's a place downtown.
Let's do a Delta 8 app.
Yeah, there's a place downtown that sells Delta 8.
I'll abstain all day and do a Delta 8.
Yeah, I walked by the play. I walked by the CBD store and they sell Delta 8 down there in the short north, and I was like, oh, I just read about this, and it gets you high, and they're like selling it. You know, there's a big company out of Texas selling it. And they're like, no, it fucking gets you high. Like, unlike CBD, it like, no, this stuff gets you high.
So, I mean, I'm a pretty good baker, and I've been handing out cookies and stuff. And the way that, like, the older generation is into CBD is just incredible. I mean, immediately.
Yeah.
Like, you give them a cookie or something, and then you get a text message, like, 3 days later where they're like, well, what was that about? And you're like, what do you mean, what was that about? It was like, it's just weed mixed with CBD, which is like a different type of weed. And they're like, well, that's like nothing I've never felt before. Like, I didn't have any aches or pains, and like my inflammation, all of it went away. I felt comfortable. It's like, yeah, they've been doing some interesting stuff with fucking weed recently.
yeah. Let's get this calls.
All right. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight? What's your pronouns?
Hey, my name's Tom. My pronouns are he or him.
What's up, Tom? How's it going tonight?
Not bad. Just kind of got the Sunday scaries about going into work tomorrow. But I actually have a kind of a question about a workplace situation.
Okay.
So I think I already kind of know the answer, so maybe it's like a two-part question. But like, so I'm a custodian at like a public elementary school. So I'm in a union, and actually like I joined the negotiation team, and our first contract negotiations are this week. So like that part's awesome for the most part. But like, so I work at 2 buildings every night, or 5 nights a week. And I work at one building for 4 hours and then go to the other one for 4 hours. And so I have 2 different head custodians, and they're like kind of like a supervisor, sort of, not really. And they're just like old ass, like older than 65, fucking racist, bigoted boomers. They're just like pieces of shit. But yeah, exactly. And they'll be there forever because like they don't put their retirement is literally like the casino down the street. Like that's their retirement plan. Yeah. It's like winning the lottery or whatever. But so my coworker, I work by myself at the first school, and then the second school I work with another guy ostensibly. So he, at least in September, so because of COVID, they kind of changed his hours. So we used to work together like 2 to 10:30 p.m. and they changed his to like 11 to 7:30. And like this dude sucks. This dude's like the worst at his job. Like doesn't even do his job. Like just passes out drunk in his car. Like he didn't even apply for the job. The superintendent's secretary is his mom and applied for him. And he showed up and didn't know what the job was or whatever.
This guy.
And he's like a piece of shit. He's like awful. And like even kind of talking to him or whatever, he's just like a total garbage, like all lives matter type person. Like whatever. Like he's a fine like work friend person to talk to just because he's not like 67 years old. Like I can relate to him when I'm like interacting with him. But like the issue is that like I guess the issue is that so like since at least September he's been you can clock in on your phone, like there's like a mobile like time clock app for our work. And like for some reason, I guess buildings have this thing called a geofence where like if you're not within the GPS coordinates, like you can't clock in or out. And it's a fucking pain in the ass for me because I'm like trying to find a corner in the building for it to work. But for whatever reason, his phone app doesn't do that. So he just goes home like sometimes even like 3.5 hours early and then like clocks that at like the right time or whatever, which is fine. And like this is why I said I think I already know kind of the answer to your question. Like, I'm not going to fucking rat out a dude for that. Like, I would never rat out a dude for that because that's awesome. Like, fuck it. Like, if you're not getting caught or whatever, great. But, like, I work my first 4 hours at this building where my supervisor guy is, like, an absolute piece of shit to me. Like, he treats me like shit. And, like, I look across the parking lot and I see my coworker, like, fucking driving away. And then every night when I get over there, I have to do all the work he doesn't do because he cuts out 3 hours early.
Yeah.
So, like, I guess I kind of got like a 2-part question. Like, A, do I snitch him out? And like, I basically think you're going to say no because I've never snitch on a coworker. But like, B, how do I just be okay with it?
I don't know.
I just fucking deal with it.
I can tell you a quick story. When I was a trainer for a period of time when I was a cable guy, and this guy I went to high school with got a job there, and I don't know if he like requested it or if it just was a total coincidence, but they made him my trainee. And what would happen is every day, because I'm afraid of confrontation. I'm not a confrontational guy.
Same here. Yeah, big time.
Every day.
I will drive down and beat up your Kia mechanic, though.
Oh, thank you. I might take you up
I'm
on
in Maine,
that.
so it would take a few hours, but I'll definitely do it.
So
give me power of attorney.
So I wish I could give somebody else.
I'm his advisor.
Yeah, I want to do that. So like this guy, he would come in the morning, and me and him would get the work orders, and I would grab them, and then we'd get in the car, and he'd be like, "Hey man, I got a softball tournament tonight. Can you just take me home and say that I worked the whole day?" And I did it every single fucking time. They were giving me work thinking I had somebody tooling around with me. And also the amount of trouble the shit I would have taken if my supervisor was like, "Hey, I'm going to come and take a look at how the trainee's doing."
Yeah.
If that happened, I would get probably in trouble because I fucking did.
That's kind of like, that's like a little more depth to like what is going on here, where like, right around when this started happening, so I'd say like October, his head custodian, who's also my supervisor, was like, told me this story about an old maintenance guy who like a bunch of the other like fucking pro-Trump union members that are all in their 70s like snitched out this dude for like defrauding his time card, which all of these old boomers did forever, and they're always looking for a way to do it, and they're pissed about having to use like a computer to clock in because they're like, "I don't know how to PDF, like they don't teach cursive anymore." But like, he tells me this story about this, and then he's like, "You never snitch on a coworker." And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, is he fucking telling you not to snitch on Ziggy because like he knows too? And then like I talked about it at like my union rep, and he's like, "They've got to know. There's no way they don't know." Like other teachers are walking up to me and they talk about how they know what's going on. So they're like the principal has to know, and like the superintendent's office has to know.
Everybody's
so,
afraid of confrontation. It's a bunch of people afraid of confrontation.
Well, and here's what I would say. If in that circumstance, how desperately do you want to keep this position?
I'd like to retire doing this job.
Yeah,
and
I'd like to retire. Okay. I mean,
my union rep did say, if anybody comes to you and asks you any question about it, say, "I have no idea," and call me, and we'll get the lawyer, because it's not your fault and it's not your responsibility to be checking on the student. That's their job. So he's made it really clear that like I probably won't get in trouble, maybe, but I'll definitely get a lot of heat. And like they'll probably go out of their way to try to find a reason to cause me trouble and like whatever.
For sure, yeah.
Here's the thing, man. I mean, I don't believe in solidarity to the point where you suffer. Like I don't think that I'm not going to let someone not do the fucking work. I feel like we're in this together.
Or make you do the
work. We're
work.
in a union, like we sweep the fucking floors together. I don't do your work because it would be cool for me to cover for you. I guess if you don't want to make a big thing about it.
Yeah, I bet you he thinks about it as like I'm getting over. I don't think he thinks he's getting over on. He thinks he's getting over on the school.
On the job, yeah.
Yeah.
What I would say is, I would just go for something in a more gray area, because when I worked at jobs and we wanted to go to a concert, I would clock out halfway through my shift and go to a concert. But when the other people wanted to go to a concert, like instead of clocking out, we would clock them out at the end of the night.
Yes.
We would all pretend that we worked the shift together. So I would approach him and say, "I know what you've been doing. I have a softball game. I'm in a softball league."
I have tried to talk to him.
You what?
I have tried to talk to him and just be like, "Dude, you're putting me in a really bad spot." Like the dude like passes out drunk in his car, like shit like that. I'm like, I have to do your work, like, and stupid shit. Like the flags have to come down on Friday night, and like one of the principals in the town is like, her son died in Afghanistan or whatever, like fighting for oil, so she has to drive around in her car and make sure all the flags are down to respect him, and like he won't even fucking do that, so I have to go out and fucking do it, and like I already hate doing it. So, like, I think I've turned it into kind of like a personal, emotional thing because I want to avoid confrontation. So I've like internalized it.
Don't
Yeah,
But,
you know
like,
what?
I'm-
man,
like,
fuck that guy, man. Fuck that guy. He needs something else besides a job.
Right.
He's not
All right.
willing to accept the responsibility of a job. It might be unpopular for our show, but we all have a certain
No,
amount of
right. Oh, that's
responsibility
exactly
that we
it.
have to do every single day. If we want to build the future that we want, we need people that are willing to chip in when the floors need fucking
Oh,
cleaned.
that's goosebumps.
If you can't function enough to show up to do the job, I mean, you're not worthwhile around here. You know, I'd love to see something else play out for you, but I don't want to work with somebody that doesn't do their job.
Yeah, it maybe it is a. I think I can see another way through here. I think I see another way out of this. Maybe that, you know, again, it's probably not going to be popular with the listeners and stuff like that. But it is also not getting a guy to lose his job. And what I might do is say, hey, I'm picking up a lot of slack for this dude. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to
And
tell
get
him that
them to
he's
start
leaving.
looking into it?
Well, because you don't have to tell him he's leaving, but he could probably end up keeping his job because they would probably call him into the office.
His principal has already come up to me and said, like, keep this between us, but if you want, like, keep in mind that, like, if you're considering a head custodian position, I know, like, my head custodian and Ziggy aren't, like, doing a good job. So if you go do, like, because, like, the staff are complaining about the bathrooms because there's literally the doo-doo toilet is literally covered in doo-doo every day. Like, the guy won't even change the sanitary napkin boxes in, like, the bathroom. So, like, they're overflowing with, like, fucking bloody fucking tampons and shit every day. And also that, like, the staff is complaining. And the principal, instead of going to his head custodian and this other employee of his, is like, hey, I know you have a good work ethic, so can you take care of this for me? And in my head, I'm like, does he know the guy's fucking leaving 3 hours early every day?
I agree with you.
He does.
I think that would put you in that does. I just think that, like, saying, hey, is there a more equitable distribution of labor that we could have here? Because I feel like I'm doing extra. And, you know, maybe even phrase it like, I don't have time to get everything done. And then you're
a doormat if you try to reason with that guy. He's a fucking asshole.
I'm not talking about reasoning with him. I'm talking about explaining your position.
But I do think if I try to explain my position to my principal, he's already using me like a doormat too, because the bar's so low, and he's not going to my supervisor. He's not going to that guy to be like, you need to get your people in line, because that guy's going to retire in a year and it's like literally taking naps every day. And he's like, hey, because like you might want to try to like retire on this job, like that. I'm being like cynical or negative about it. He didn't phrase it that way, and he's a good boss. He's like a decent boss, and I don't think he's trying to pull one over on me. But like, it's still super unprofessional and like inappropriate to be like, hey, can you do this extra work that like my guy that I pay $5 more an hour, that like I always give his yearly performance review increase, like, can you do his work for him?
It sounds like everybody. It sounds like everybody's in a situation with this guy too. Maybe it is like people are afraid to confront him because he's got people in the superintendent's office, or something like that.
Everybody's drinking, buddy.
That is definitely a part. That is definitely a part of it, I think. But like, that's not even like a fucking thing I need to be worrying about. Like, I'm just stressed out every day because I like have one guy breathing down my neck for 4 hours and then just I have to go into this other building and be like, well, fuck, here now. Not only there's like 2 separate standards because I split my shifts. Like, I have to bust my ass at this one place. They call it the country club. It's like the school where all like the fucking wealthiest people in this like dying mill towns kids go, or whatever. I guess they're kids now. And then I like look across the fucking football field or whatever, and it's like, well, I got to go in there, and then like I have to do like 3 times the work. And like, I probably won't even get in trouble if I don't do it. That's the thing, is I think everything would be fine if I was just like, no, I'm going to take a nap and get drunk.
I'm going to go too. I'm going to get drunk. I'm going to get drunk but you would get in trouble though. What it is that you've got the place up to the minimum acceptable rate. And if you lay off, it'll be under the minimum acceptable rate. That's the thing. And your union rep,
instead of like,
yeah, and your union rep is, I mean, that it seems like something like It's weird, man, but it feels like something.
My union rep does the same supervisor job. He's the head custodian of another building, and he's made it really clear. He's like, it's fucked up and it's bullshit. Like, that's not how it's supposed to work. But like, they need basically my principal needs to do documentation about something. Basically, like saying I'm doing a bad job, and then I would have to file a grievance, and that's when the union would get involved. My union rep, it's not like fucking Jimmy Hoffa and like we're fucking digging up bodies in Chicago to get votes for like Lyndon Johnson or something. It's like, no, we need to like wait until you have an actionable grievance before we can get involved. But like, I support you completely. So it's like,
that's
like I can't.
That's actually was my thinking. That was honestly what I was thinking to get out of it, is just be truthful. I think you should not do things up to snuff and say, why I can only get a third of the bathrooms done. And they're like, why? And it's like, well, the other employee wasn't there. And it's like, why weren't they there? And it's like, I don't know. They just weren't there. I really needed somebody else to do this thing.
I go into work, like, so we actually are doing pretty good for like our school district as far as COVID goes. Like, we've been in person the whole time. And then like they close down schools for like a week or two if there's like confirmed cases. So we finally had a confirmed case at the school where this dude works. And the principal came in to like make all the phone calls to like the fucking contacts and would have seen that the dude wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, and he didn't say a fucking word. And this was like 3 weeks ago. And I'm like, does he even know and is just pretending? It's like, because wouldn't he have to know? But like, he's even asked me, he's like, what's your schedule now? And it's like, what? How do you not know my fucking schedule, man?
No, it's not. I mean, when it comes to coordinating things, when it comes to managing projects, it's better not to know, because it's just as more problems you have to deal with. Like they're dealing with tons of problems all the time that present themselves naturally. Until your problem presents itself naturally, until there's like a fucking a problem at the school, they aren't going to notice. They don't want to notice.
Yeah,
they have too much to deal with already.
Brett's right. I tried to get fired for 9 months.
That's a really good point.
I tried to get fired for 9 fucking months. I did everything I could to get fired, and I ended up having to quit at a job. And like, it just is one of those things where like everybody's afraid of confrontation. It's not just you and it's not just me. Nobody wants to have a confrontation. And there are a lot of people that can slip through the cracks because they are willing to have a confrontation.
and yeah, exactly. And I don't think the street fight ethos is like, you can take advantage of us. I think that we need to cooperate to take advantage of the boss. This person is not acting
like the Stalin poster of like, kick him out on his ass because he's a loafer or whatever, and it's like a broken machine or something like that. Like, we don't need your fucking help.
Yeah, we can do time theft. If he's stealing 3.5 hours of work every single day. Jesus Christ, y'all could get like a fucking Street Fighter stream started. Well, you could get big on Twitch doing like Tekken Tag tournament.
I do wear my Street Fighter shirt to work a lot. Actually. You too. I got one with Gumball on it, and I'm like, hell yeah.
You two could absolutely team up and both have 3 hours off at the end of the night. I think is the thing.
I do think about that, but I'm not the type of person to do that. Like,
I'm with you, man.
Like, I'm very much like, I sell my free time for 7.5 hours a day, because I get a mandatory federal lunch break, and like, this is your time that I trade to you for money to keep a roof over my head. So I'm going to put in my effort.
Yeah. So the other side of this is that, like, if you're looking for a life or position, you're not going to feel empowered by doing that. You're never going to feel like your life is in control or this is what you ever wanted. You're just going to have to put up with what the situation deals you. So this is going to be what the gig is from now on, is just putting up with the bullshit, you know. And if you're rewarded handsomely, I mean, this is a good problem to have, I guess. It's an interesting problem to have. But I also don't think that, I don't believe that we should be taking advantage of each other and putting work on other people. I think we're in it together. If you're not in it together, you're not my comrade. If you're not willing to do the work with me, you're not my comrade.
If you're not in it with me, then like, I don't need to be in it with you either.
Right.
Essentially.
Yeah. We can scam this place. We can steal. We can sell the shit on eBay that we take after hours. I
have done that at jobs before.
Clock each other out. Like you said, if someone wants to go on a Tinder date and they need 3 hours off, clock them out. Clock them out 3 hours later than when they left.
For you. Yeah.
That's a back and forth. That's a relationship. This is a one-sided thing where this person has found out that they can take advantage of you because you don't want to be uncomfortable. And and they're totally using it against you.
So kind of going what you said about nobody wants confrontation, like, and obviously if you're avoiding confrontation for so long, it builds up kind of like pent up ammunition. Like, one of my concerns is, like, if I go to a higher up about this now, am I going to be in trouble because I waited so long to fucking say something?
No.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
no, because you don't have to tell him that he's breaking actual rules.
Yeah, I
would. You don't have to say he's getting drunk at work. All you have to say is that, like, he's not carrying his weight.
Yeah. I wouldn't volunteer any information at all. I would just do an unsatisfactory job and say I didn't have any help. And they'll say, why didn't you have any help? And it's like, oh, well, my coworker wasn't available to do the restrooms at that time. And eventually they're going to have to investigate why your coworker wasn't able to do the restrooms.
Yeah, because, I mean, you don't have to volunteer any information.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, because that is snitching, I guess. But, like, it's really more...
Let them figure it out.
Let them figure out what's going on. And again, like I said, hopefully, if they figure out what's going on, they could just be like, hey, dude, you can't leave 3 hours in and you can't come in drunk. And then
from
he
what I
helps
understand,
you.
like, if they found out about it, they, like, actually will literally be like, give me your keys, or we're pressing charges for, like, felony theft for, like, all of these hours stolen.
Yeah.
Because I guess this kind of shit has happened before. Like,
and that's not real, though. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, and
don't
like I said,
too
just
much.
It could just end up being a coaching thing where they end up getting everything back together. You're not getting somebody fired necessarily. It doesn't
You're
have
just
to
getting
be
eyes
that
on
way.
them. Just get some fucking eyes on them.
Because you deserve somebody to help you get the work done. You deserve that.
That's kind of like, that's been my attitude the whole time, is that, like, hey, like, they staff this building for this certain number of hours because that's how much work needs to be done. And, like, if there's less people staffed for it, then I guess what you're saying, then less of the work gets done. Whereas I was like, all the work has to get done, but now there's less people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, call us back and keep us posted on this. I'm very interested in how this plays out.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. Sorry I took so much of your time. I know there's a bunch of people in the queue.
Have a good night.
Also, my promise was serious. I will drive down to that mechanic and beat the shit out of him.
Thank you. I might take you
Take
up
care,
on
guys.
that. Take care.
No, that was a great call, because that is like, where do you draw the line? And I don't think there's we don't live in a perfect world, but I don't think I should put up with somebody's shit, you know? I don't think that's I don't think that's a part of what we do. I want people to do better. I want to, like, extend myself to help people become, more calm, more stable, more comrade. I mean, like I said, it's like, we do this job let's get together on some thievery, right? Like, we both work here. We both know they want us to do 3 hours of work and we have to pretend it takes 7 hours. Can me and you split 2 hours every other Wednesday, right? Can I duck out on a Wednesday and then you do it the next week? Can we trade this time back and forth? That's the thing to do. There's no reason that you should be pretending. I don't believe that you should be pretending that somebody else is doing their job if it fucking hurts you. I really don't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let's get out of here.
That's the show. That's Street
All
Fighter
right.
Radio. Brian's done.
Well, I want to watch a pay-per-view.
Okay, I believe you. We'll be back on Wednesday night. If you want to watch the show on live stream, we're on twitch.tv/StreetFightRadio. We're on youtube.com/StreetFightWCRS, Facebook and Twitter as well. We'll be available on all the other social media platforms as Street Fight WCRS. And then later this month, on March 25th, we're doing the next episode of Street Fight D&D, Street Fight in Rapid City. We have a great campaign that's got kicked off last month. If you want to hear that or watch that, it's available on the live streaming channels on Twitch and YouTube. The audio is available on Patreon, but we're doing it again on March 25th. We're playing D&D again, and it will be good. We've had a lot of good calls tonight. I thought it was a wonderful show. Thank you to everybody that did the work and told us the stories. They were great as always, and we'll see you on Wednesday. We're Street Fight. Peace.